Chapter 1063, The Greed of the Changyang Clan. Jian Chen suddenly narrowed his eyes as an intense anger uncontrollably rose within him. His gaze toward Changyang Qing Juri also underwent an overwhelming change, becoming extremely hostile. The Bright Moon Divine Hall now belonged to Yu. It was crucial for cultivation. She could only absorb moonlight force quickly through the Divine Hall. She would progress much slower in the future without it. The Divine Hall also functioned as a method where Yu could protect herself, and Jian Chen would not need to worry for her safety. As a result, Jian Chen became extremely angered now that the people of the Changyang clan actually wanted to take the Divine Hall from Yu. Is that true? You want to take the Bright Moon Divine Hall? Jian Chen suddenly stood up and glared at Changyang Qing Juri. He acted pressingly, showing no respect for him. He was completely indifferent about the fact that Changyang Qing Juri was technically a great-grandfather of his. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao sat in the seat beside Jian Chen. He showed no intentions of stopping or persuading the angered Jian Chen. He drank tea leisurely and said nothing, as if he had seen nothing. Changyang Qing Juri had expected this from Jian Chen long ago, so he maintained an amicable smile. He said unhurriedly, "Xiangtian, it's not like what you think. The clan is just considering Yu's relatively low strength. The Bright Moon Divine Hall is an invaluable treasure, enough to cause any person of the continent to become green with greed. If it remains with Yu, it might just end up attracting endless trouble or even be taken by some powerful people. This is why the clan has decided to have Yu leave the Divine Hall in the clan, so that it can't be lost." "So in other words, you want to take the Divine Hall for Yuer's own good?" Jian Chen sneered. Changyang Qing Juri obviously could sense the sarcasm in Jian Chen's tone. His expression remained the same, but he was now filled with bitterness. He knew that taking the Divine Hall from Yu was almost impossible now. Changyang Qing Juri said after a period of silence, "Xiangtian, I know what you're worrying about. You can completely relax about that. You're now a member of the clan, so the clan would never do something against you. Having Yu leave the Divine Hall indeed has only benefits and is not detrimental in any way. She will remain as the owner of the Divine Hall. I appreciate your kindness for Yuer. The Divine Hall is impregnable and is nowhere as fragile as ordinary ones. With the Divine Hall by her side, even Saint Emperors can't do anything to her, so leaving the Divine Hall with the Protector clan is completely unnecessary," said Jian Chen. Changyang Qing Juri's heart immediately skipped a beat when he heard that even Saint Emperors were helpless against the Bright Moon Divine Hall. He thought, the Divine Hall's actually so powerful. It's on par with the Divine Hall left behind by Mo Tianyun for Mercenary City. If the clan has the protection of a Divine Hall like that, do we still need to fear the other Protector clans and Mercenary City? Changyang Qing Juri's mood immediately began to surge. The 10 Protector clans were in possession of quite a few Divine Halls, but none of them could resist attacks from Saint Emperors. If they were in possession of one that could, the Protector Changyang clan could ignore the Saint Emperors of the Beast God continent and the Path Lord of Carnal Desires, becoming the only other clan that can rival Mercenary City. Even now, Changyang Qing Juri could still clearly remember the conflict between the 10 Protector clans and Mercenary City several tens of thousands of years ago. The Protector clans sent over 20 Saint Emperors. The group was so great that it outnumbered the Saint Emperors of Mercenary City several times over, yet Mercenary City only sent a single person. Through the powerful Divine Hall, he stopped all of the Saint Emperors from the Protector clans, shaking the entire continent. The middle-aged beauty, who was a saint ruler, began to talk seeing how Changyang Qing Juri said nothing. "Changyang Xiangtian, legend has it that Fairy Haoyu's cultivation method is the only method that exceeds Saint Tier on the Tian Yuan continent, and it is only suitable for females. Since your fiancée has become a disciple of Fairy Haoyu, she must have obtained the cultivation method. Why not get her to offer it up? It'll be a great contribution to the clan, and it'll also allow our clan's strength to increase. If all the women of the clan use that cultivation method, we can completely surpass the 9 other clans in no time. Jian Chen's expression became even uglier. Not only did the Protector clan want you use Divine Hall, they even desired Fairy How use cultivation method. This was far beyond what he could bear. Jian Chen had already clenched his fists tightly. The anger within him had peaked. If it were not for the fact that they were people of the Changyang clan and not some outsiders, he would have chased them out long ago. Changyang Xiangtian, you're a member of the Protector Changyang clan. You use your fiancé, so we're really all just one big family. According to the rules of the clan, every member must treat the clan with utmost importance and do everything for the clan. You use cultivation method is extremely important to the clan, so she should offer it up, continued the woman. Enough, shut up. Jian Chen could not longer bear with it anymore and slammed the armrest of his chair. The powerful force turned the chair to dust. He glared at the woman and Changyang Qing jury and coldly said, "Don't go on about clan rules and benefits for the clan before me. Unless Yuer is willing herself, no one can take away the Bright Moon Divine Hall or Fairy How use cultivation method. Otherwise, I will treat it as you going against me. Changyang Xiangtian, it's outrageous how you speak to your seniors. Do you really think that you can ignore the rules and the hierarchy of the clan just because you have great strength? I may be weaker than you, but you still should be referring to me as your great-grandmother in terms of family," the woman sternly said, wanting to suppress Jian Chen with her seniority. Jian Chen's lips curled into a sneer of disdain. "You still don't have the right to be my great-grandmother. Everyone, my Changyang clan does not welcome you. Please leave." Jian Chen made a gesture, directly ordering the guests to leave. "How dare you, Changyang Xiangtian? Don't you know who great-grandfather Jury is? He's a great elder of our Protector clan. Why, you dare to treat him like that? You have no respect for your elders." A Heaven Saint Master beside the middle-aged woman stood up furiously as she yelled at Jian Chen while pointing at him. Changyang Qing Jury was no longer able to remain as composed as before. He was a great elder of a Grand Protector clan. His status was so great, yet he was actually ordered to leave by someone younger than him. Would he still be able to retain any dignity if he abided? If it were not for the fact that this junior possessed a relatively special status, he would have taught him a lesson long ago. In no way would he have endured it. "Let's go." Changyang Qing Jury glanced at Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, who silently sat to one side, before waving his sleeve. He left furiously and hurriedly with the middle-aged woman and the 2 ladies. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao slowly stood up after Changyang Qing Jury left, sighing deeply at the sky. He was filled with helplessness. "Jian Chen, the 2 requests made by Changyang Qing Jury and the others are indeed rules of the clan, so I can't help you talk. You don't understand the Protector clans. Our rules are extremely rigid and have existed since the ancient times. Even great elders dare not break them so easily. I hope you can understand," sighed Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. "I don't care how rigid the Protector clan's rules are. I will never let them take anything from Yuer. Though I do hope you don't end up helping them with that," Jian Chen replied. "You don't have to worry about that. You're a member of the Zhu branch, so the branch will never make things difficult for you, including your great-grandfather Changyang Zhu Xiao," Changyang Zhu Yunxiao sternly explained. "Jian Chen, great-grandfather Yunxiao, you're actually worrying too much. Even if I offer up the Divine Hall and the cultivation method, they can't do anything with them. The Divine Hall is still controlled by Master's hands. I only have partial control over it. The cultivation method is even more so the case. Even if they obtain it, they can't use it for cultivation since they need a specific constitution, which can only be obtained through the personal modifications of Master," said Yu Yu. "They might not believe that. Fairy How Yu may still be alive, but she's reduced to a soul. Her capability of deterrence is no longer as great as before. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao said after some thought. He hesitated slightly before continuing once more, Jian Chen, the seal in Kong'er mind still has not been released. The Protector clan wants you to return, and then the 7 great elders can work together to release the seal. I hope you can make some time to visit the Protector clan regardless of how you feel about them, so you can release Kong'er from his 1,000 years of pain. Jian Chen agreed after a pause. I'll visit the Protector clan in 3 days. It'll all be for great-grandfather though. Chapter 1064, Visiting the Huanggu clan. Jian Chen left the conference hall with Yu Yu. The two of them first visited Jian Chen's parents. During their conversation, Bai Yuntian mentioned the marriage between Jian Chen and Yu Yu once more, but it was evaded by both of them together. Jian Chen was now in possession of enough strength to protect himself and the people around him, but there were still many matters he needed to deal with. He was in no mood to consider marriage. On the other hand, Yu Yu now had the Bright Moon Divine Hall as well as Fairy Hao Yu's cultivation method. Right now, her only objective was to increase her strength as fast and as much as possible, devoting all her energy into cultivation. She would consider marriage once she possessed enough strength to help out Jian Chen. Bidding farewell to Bai Yuntian and Changyang Ba, Yu Yu did not stick by Jian Chen's side for very long. She entered the Divine Hall once more, going to outer space to cultivate. Once I drop off Uncle Chang, great-grandfather Bai Hai, Yang Ling, and Senior Huang Tianba at Mercenary City, I'll go to the Protector clan immediately and get them to release great-grandfather Changyang Zhu Yunkong seal, Jian Chen thought after leaving his parents' room. The main reason why he visited Flame City last time was to take Bai Hai with him. He planned on leaving Bai Hai in Mercenary City so Xiao Ling could invoke the mysteries of the world for him to comprehend. Now it's just Senior Huang Tianba. The Huang family just happens to be rather close to here, so I'll go by myself. Jian Chen shot off like a cannonball, climbing high up into the sky with extremely great speed. He shot off in the direction of the Huang family, disappearing in the blink of an eye. He could not help but think of a flawless beauty in his head. He thought, it's been so many years. I wonder how Luaner's been. With her talent, she should have made great improvement in these years. Jian Chen immediately sped up some more after that thought. The Huang family was over 30,000 kilometers away from the Jessen kingdom. With Jian Chen's speed, he only needed 2 short hours before arriving at the beautiful mountain, abundant with energy of the world, where the Huang family resided. Jian Chen descended outside the entrance of the manor. He did not conceal his presence, so he was discovered by experts of the Huang family as soon as he arrived. Several Heaven Saint Masters immediately shot out from within. They all became surprised when they recognized Jian Chen, and their stern faces immediately became replaced with smiles. They politely welcomed Jian Chen into the clan. With Jian Chen's current fame on the continent, almost all hermit clans had heard about him. His current level of status could not be compared to his past. The Huang family immediately became overwhelmed by Jian Chen's sudden visit. Not only did the patriarch personally come out to receive him, even people of previous generations came out of seclusion. Jian Chen was younger than any of them, but he was still a saint king after all. He was indisputably someone who held great power on the continent where strength determined all. Jian Chen struggled a little to adapt to how everyone in the Huang family had come out to receive him. After conversing with the patriarch slightly, he cut to the chase. Patriarch, I've come this time to find Senior Huang Tianba. May I ask where he is currently? The ancestor has always been cultivating in seclusion, and he hasn't appeared in several years already. I will bring you to him if you are looking for the ancestor, said the patriarch, before directly flying to the rear of the mountain with Jian Chen and a few other experts of the clan. Very quickly, Jian Chen arrived at the sword-shaped ridge where Huang Tianba stayed in seclusion. It was surrounded by a barrier, and inside stood a single, old, wooden hut. Descendant greets the old ancestor. Brother Jianchen has come to our clan, the patriarch spoke courteously to the hut as he stood outside the barrier. Jianchen stared nonchalantly at the hut and some wonder appeared in his eyes. He said, Patriarch, there's no need to keep calling. Senior Huang Tianba's not in there. What? The ancestor's not there? The patriarch became stunned. Jianchen nodded slightly before expanding his presence. He enveloped a radius of 1,000 kilometers in an attempt to find signs of Huang Tianba, but there was nothing. If I can't find him in the radius of 1,000 meters, expanding my presence any further than that would result in the same outcome. Looks like the senior's not in the clan right now, thought Jianchen. The patriarch thought a little and said, Brother, Huang Luan's a disciple of the ancestor from the Huanggu clan. She's always stayed in the Huanggu clan cultivating while the ancestor treats her like a treasure. Since the ancestor's not with us, he's probably gone to the Huanggu clan to see her. Huang Luan's at the Huanggu clan, repeated Jianchen inside. He then said, I'll visit the Huanggu clan then. Jianchen declined the patriarch's attempts to get him to stay, leaving immediately after learning where the Huanggu clan was. The Huanggu clan was located in the south, hidden in a forest that was always covered with mist and filled with magical beasts. Very few people knew about its existence. A 1,000-meter-tall tower stood in the center of the clan. That tower was the most sacred building in the clan since it was where the ancestor cultivated. A disheveled old man hung in the air of the top room in the tower. The room was completely sealed and slightly gloomy while the man was surrounded with huge, thick chains. He looked like a beggar. The old man possessed very great strength. Every time he struggled, the chains would rattle, but he could not break free from them no matter how hard he tried. You mongrel! You will pay for this. If I break free, I will never let you go. The old man's voice was hoarse with hatred. Before him stood the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. The ancestor was at ease and possessed a sneer. Huang Tianba, do you still think you have a chance at revenge? Why don't you think about your current predicament? Do you think you still have the ability to break free? You better give up on that thought. Mongrel, my Huang family has never done anything to your Huanggu clan. Why do you do this to me? Huang Tianba gnashed his teeth. He was haggard, no longer possessing his former glory. Chapter 1065, Disaster at the Doorstep. The ancestor of the Huanggu clan sneered, Huang Tianba, your precious great-granddaughter has already become a saint ruler now, and my great plan is about to come to an end. You are already someone at your end, so it doesn't matter even if I tell you. Huang Tianba, have you ever heard about the water spirit's body? The ancestor said. The water spirit's body? What water spirit's body? What has that got to do with my beloved great-granddaughter? Huang Tianba questioned. He had no idea about the specific constitution. I can understand why you don't know. The Huanggu clan ancestor sneered, the scripture of the aquatic sunflower I practice is a water-attributed saint-tier cultivation method. The water spirit's body is recorded in there. The water spirit's body is an extremely rare and special type of constitution on the Tianyuan continent. It very rarely appears on the continent. It's difficult to come across someone with it even over the span of 100,000 years. Anyone with that constitution is endowed with great talent for water-attributed cultivation methods. Not only do they improve at an astonishing speed, their future accomplishments are immeasurable. They have the potential to reach Saint Emperor. A powerful gleam of yearning began to glow in the ancestor's eyes when he mentioned Saint Emperor. Are you saying that my great-granddaughter is in possession of this water spirit's body that you mentioned? But what intentions do you have by taking her in as your disciple and passing the scripture of the aquatic sunflower to her? Huang Tianba's eyes shone with interest as he stared tightly at the Huanggu clan ancestor. Correct. That girl indeed is in possession of this rare constitution, but it has not been completely activated yet. If it were not for the wonders of the scripture of the aquatic sunflower, probably no one would have been able to discover her constitution beforehand, chuckled the Huanggu clan ancestor. You mongrel, so you want to control Wan and turn her into a puppet of your clan. Huang Tianba became enraged. He struggled furiously against the chains as he hung in mid-air, producing clanking sounds. Control? Ha ha ha, I've spent so much effort, and even passed the scripture of the aquatic sunflower to that girl. It's not going to be as simple as controlling her. I'm just helping her unlock the potential of her constitution, which I'll then absorb all her talent and pure water-attributed Saint Force through a secret technique. My strength will skyrocket and I will reach Saint King. At the same time, I will have hopes of reaching Saint Emperor in the future. The ancestor's eyes burned with greed. You bastard, you won't succeed. My great-granddaughter is Jian Chen's woman. Not only is Jian Chen a prodigy with unlimited potential, he has close ties with the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. If you even touch my great-granddaughter, Jian Chen will never let you go, Huang Tianba roared hoarsely as surging hatred filled his eyes. Fear immediately appeared in the depths of the ancestor's eyes upon hearing Jian Chen. Although he had never left the clan in the recent years, he had an extremely clear understanding about the matters outside, especially with matters regarding Jian Chen. He knew even more than Huang Tianba. Jian Chen had resisted the 10 protector clans all by himself and had even caused them to back off. That was Jian Chen's power. But the ancestor seemed to think of something very soon. The fear in his eyes immediately vanished and he sneered, Huang Tianba, you're still thinking of Jian Chen even no. I must admit that he is a junior with shocking talent, but why would he come to my Huanggu clan? Even if he comes, he won't do anything to me. His lips curled into a sinister smile. After all, your beloved great-granddaughter has already reached Saint Ruler successfully. All her potential has been completely unlocked. I'll go find her right now, and very soon, there will be one more Saint King on the continent. No matter how great Jian Chen's abilities are, it's impossible for him to learn about what is happening here. You mongrel, I will never let you go even if I come back as a ghost, Huang Tianba roared furiously as his body trembled violently. However, his voice lacked power. With the current circumstances, he was indeed at the mercy of the ancestor. His strength was sealed. He did not even have the power to resist. Ha 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 ha, Huang Tianba, you better stay here and personally witness the birth of another Saint King, the ancestor wildly laughed, as if his future of reaching Saint King was already set in stone. The complacent smile on his face slowly vanished. However, just as he wanted to leave the room, a mighty voice suddenly rang from outside. The captain of the Flame Mercenaries, Senior Jian Chen, has come to visit the Huanggu clan. Jian Chen's voice was rather plain, but it spread out in all directions in the form of a visible sound waves. Not only did it cause all of the buildings in the clan to shake slightly, it passed through various obstacles, allowing everyone to hear it extremely clearly. Even those who were in completely sealed rooms, in seclusion, were not an exception. The ancestor of the Huanggu clan reacted abruptly as he was about to close the door to the room. In that moment, any joy of his completely vanished, and his complexion took a horrible turn. Deep fear and dread began to flood his eyes. Jian Chen, it's actually Jian Chen. Jian Chen's come to my Huanggu clan. The ancestor struggled to maintain his calm and composure as before. His heart began to heavily thump. In that moment, without even realizing it, he had already begun to tremble slightly. Crap, it'll be troublesome now. How has that bloody Jian Chen found his way here? Why can't he come a little later? His heart grew cold. What he dreaded the most was finally about to happen. Ha ha ha, it's brother Jian Chen. He's come. He has the support of the Grand Elder from Mercenary City. You mongrel, I'd like to see what you do now. Huang Tianba became filled with vigor once more. In that moment, he seemed to catch the glimpse of a ray of light in pure darkness. He had seen the hope of breaking out. Bang! The ancestor of the Huanggu clan slammed the door shut, as if he was afraid that Huang Tianba's voice would make it to Jian Chen's ears. His complexion was extremely horrible, and he became unsettled. He wanted to run, but once he thought about Jian Chen's current strength, he immediately gave up on that thought. Suddenly, an idea crossed his mind. He thought, Jian Chen may have come to my clan, but he has no idea about how I've been dealing with Huang Tianba and Huang Luan. In other words, the situation still hasn't reached its worst point. I still have a sliver of hope, and I also have a final trump card to keep me alive. He immediately calmed down by quite a bit with that before quickly dismissing his thoughts. He left the tower as if nothing had happened, personally going up to welcome Jian Chen. Ha ha ha, so it's my friend Jian Chen who's suddenly paid a visit. Your fame on the continent these days is like the noon sun, just as dazzling and unstoppable. It truly is an honor for you to visit my clan. If this news breaks out, my clan's status will definitely skyrocket on the continent. The ancestor of the Huanggu clan laughed excitedly from afar, flattering Jian Chen. Chapter 1066, Huang Tianba saved. Jian Chen knew that the ancestor of the Huanggu clan was Huang Luan's master, so he spoke relatively politely. He did not give off any particular presence, so he looked just like an ordinary person right now, floating mid-air as if he was standing. The ancestor's face was filled with smiles, arriving before Jian Chen with fake excitement. His compliments flowed unceasingly from his mouth, buttering up to Jian Chen. Jian Chen was oblivious to Huang Luan and Huang Tianba's current situation, which was why he responded very amicably to the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. After all, he was Huang Luan's master. The two of them conversed a little before cutting to the chase. Jian Chen said, "Senior, may I ask if Luaner and Senior Huang Tianba is with you?" The ancestor's heart sank once again, but he showed none of it. He smiled. "I was thinking that brother Jian Chen would be visiting for my beloved disciple and Huang Tianba. It's a pity though, you've come too late. My disciple's gone out for training while Huang Tianba is not in my clan either." "What? They're not at your clan?" Jian Chen was astounded. "Yep. They're not with me right now. Huang Tianba may have gone traveling. Brother Jian Chen, if you want to find them, I'll contact you immediately if they come back to my Huanggu clan," the ancestor leisurely replied. However, no one knew that his emotions inside were the exact opposite. He wished that Jian Chen would leave as soon as possible. With every moment Jian Chen stayed, his uneasiness would increase. Jian Chen could not help but feel confused with what the ancestor had said. He had learned from Yu that ever since Huang Luan had left Flame City to go to the Huanggu clan all those years ago, she had never appeared. There had not even been a single piece of news about her. When he first heard that, Jian Chen thought that Huang Luan had always remained in the Huang family, cultivating arduously. However, only with his visit from before did he discover that Huang Luan did not stay at the Huang family at all. As a result, there was only the Huanggu clan. Jian Chen felt suspicious about Huang Luan going out for training mentioned by the ancestor. Suddenly, Jian Chen expanded his presence and enveloped the entire clan. He wanted to check whether it was actually like the ancestor said. Jian Chen's presence was extremely powerful. Combined with how profound it was, it passed through all the defenses and obstacles of the clan easily, allowing him to observe the clan clearly. However, Jian Chen's complexion changed the moment his presence swept through the tower in the center of the clan. A terrifying light exploded from his eyes and anger began to fume from him. Inside contained a deep killing intent as well. He had sensed a beggar-like old man, wrapped in chains within the hidden room. Although the old man was disheveled and haggard, Jian Chen recognized him with a single glance. It was the person he was searching for, Huang Tianba. "Senior Huang," Jian Chen cried out furiously. He arrived before the tower with a flash and struck out with his hand. With a boom, the tower collapsed loudly, obliterated from Jian Chen's attack. The fragments of the tower shot off in all directions, destroying quite a few structures in the clan. Huang Tianba also fell from the sky with the destruction of the tower. With another flash, he appeared by Huang Tianba's side after leaving behind an afterimage of where he had been before. He caught Huang Tianba and gently landed. Huang Tianba's face had already become pale white. The ancestor of the Huanggu clan paled in fright. Badly shaken, he stared at the fuming Jian Chen and without any hesitation, he fled off into the distance as fast as he could. He swore inside, "God damn it, how did Jian Chen know that Huang Tianba was trapped in the tower? He clearly didn't know before." Right now, all he wanted to do was survive. He could not bother with the lives of his clansmen. Suddenly being saved, Huang Tianba obviously became extremely emotional. Just as he wanted to say something, he saw the ancestor of the Huanggu clan trying to flee and immediately became enraged as well. He called out, "Jian Chen, don't let that mongrel go. Don't worry, Senior Huang. He can't escape." Icy killing intent formed in Jian Chen's eyes. Throwing that down, he immediately began to pursue the ancestor. In the air, the ancestor fled while Jian Chen pursued. They both used spatial force and moved extremely quickly. However, as they both were at the seventh heavenly layer in terms of their comprehensions for the mysteries of the world, the distance between them never really closed after a while of pursuit. With a flip of his hand, Jian Chen drew his Emperor armament from his space ring. With the injection of chaotic force, the Emperor armament immediately began to shine with dark light. The terrifying energy caused the surrounding space to distort, creating pitch-black cracks. Jian Chen's battle prowess immediately skyrocketed with the Emperor armament. The terrifying presence caused the ancestor of the Huanggu clan to pale in fright, now filled with despair inside. Jian Chen swung his sword and a huge, black sword qi immediately shot out, flying toward the ancestor with lightning speed. The Huanggu clan ancestor wanted to dodge, but the sword qi was not something he could avoid. There was a humongous disparity between saint kings and saint rulers. Arg! The sword qi caught up to him in the blink of an eye and cleaved off his legs. The only body he had left was from the waist up. Violent pain caused him to shriek out in a chilling fashion, and it even affected his speed. He began to slow down. Jian Chen put away the Emperor armament and caught up to him with lightning speed. This time, he did not treat the ancestor as politely as before. He ignored his painful cries, taking him away by grabbing his clothes. The Huanggu clan had fallen into chaos as of right now. The activity from the destruction of the tower had alarmed all the people in the clan. Everyone stopped their cultivation and stepped out of their residences to check what was happening outside. All the members of the upper echelon had already arrived beside Huang Tianba in the meantime. They all stared at him in shock as disbelief flooded their faces. They all recognized Huang Tianba as the ancestor of the Huang family, but they had no idea what their own ancestor had done. They all felt extremely shocked with Huang Tianba's current appearance, completely confused about what had happened. At this moment, a vast presence appeared in the distance. Jian Chen returned furiously to the clan with the ancestor of the Huanggu clan and landed on the ground. Afterward, he made his way to Huang Tianba, step by step while carrying the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. His face was sunken while his eyes were icy cold. Dense killing intent continued to linger on him. Ancestor! Ancestor! The group of people recognized that Jian Chen currently carried their ancestor with a single glance. Their faces all changed drastically as they called out sorrowfully. "Release the ancestor!" A middle-aged heaven saint master cried out, charging at Jian Chen with a saint weapon. His eyes were bloodshot from anger. "Piss off!" Jian Chen angrily yelled out. He did not even glance at the person as he punched out. He used the toughness of his body to resist the person's saint weapon. Ding! Jian Chen's fist collided with the saint weapon, and it shattered like tofu from Jian Chen's punch. Jian Chen's fist continued on with no reduction in force, mercilessly landing on the Heaven Saint Master's chest. The Heaven Saint Master spurted blood from his mouth as he shot back like a cannonball. He passed through several buildings before stopping 100 meters away in the end. His entire chest had caved in, and his organs had all turned to mush from the might of Jian Chen's punch. Sixth Elder. The Heaven Saint Masters of the Huanggu clan all called out, immediately flying to the man who had been injured by Jian Chen. They discovered that he had lost all signs of life. Jian Chen's casual punch had claimed his life on the spot. All the people of the Huanggu clan immediately quietened down after witnessing Jian Chen's strength. They all stared at him in surprise and fear. No one else dared to say anything more. They stepped aside to give way to Jian Chen. Jian Chen, you're still a supreme expert of the continent after all. You've actually murdered a Heaven Saint Master, the ancestor of the Huanggu clan furiously yelled out. The person who had passed away was his great-grandson as well as the most talented person in the clan. He was treated with great importance by the ancestor. Chapter 1067, Huang Wuan reaches Saint Ruler, it doesn't matter who you are. If you attack me, I'll kill you without mercy, Jian Chen coldly said. His impression of the Huanggu clan had completely reversed. He treated them as enemies now. Huang Tianba had showed great kindness to him before, and he was also Huang Wuan's great-grandfather. It did not matter what happened between Huang Tianba and the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. Jian Chen would always stand by Huang Tianba's side. Jian Chen slowly made his way to Huang Tianba's side with the legless ancestor in his hand. He threw him to the ground mercilessly before squatting down. He asked in concern, Senior Huang, are you all right? Just what has happened? Huang Tianba eyed the ancestor of the Huanggu clan that had collapsed on the ground like mud. He felt extremely delighted inside and was also extremely shocked by Jian Chen's strength. Huang Tianba's understanding of Jian Chen's strength remained at the level from several years ago. He had no idea just how terrifying Jian Chen had become. Brother Jian Chen, that mongrel did all this to me all because my precious great-granddaughter is in possession of the rare water spirit's body. She's a prodigy with unlimited potential in the future. She is currently trapped by this bastard over 1,000 meters underground in a room. Please go save her, Huang Tianba spoke rather hurriedly. He was extremely concerned for Huang Wuan's well-being. Jian Chen's face changed with that. He immediately expanded his presence and had indeed discovered Huang Wuan trapped in a room underground. The room was enveloped by a powerful barrier. Jian Chen's heart ached when he saw Huang Wuan's haggard face. He could not imagine just how much pain she had gone through during these years. A killing intent even more powerful than before erupted from the bottom of Jian Chen's heart, targeting the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. Senior Huang Tianba, I'll free you from your chains first, Jian Chen hoarsely said. He grabbed the thick chains with his two hands, and with some force, the chains were crushed to pieces with a few cracks. Although the chains were made from a special type of metal, they were not unbreakable. Huang Tianba's strength was sealed up, so he could not use his powers as a saint ruler. That was why he was chained up for so long. Huang Tianba recovered his freedom and teetered as he stood up. He thanked Jian Chen, before arriving in front of the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. He laughed out loud without any restraint before gnashing his teeth. Never did you think that you would end up like now, did you? I'd like to see how you harm my precious great-granddaughter now. Huang Tianba's voice was filled with resentment. He kicked the ancestor's body as he spoke, but since his strength was currently sealed, as well as the fact that he had been chained up for so long, not only did he fail to hurt the Huanggu clan ancestor, he lost his footing and ended up staggering back. Jian Chen helped Huang Tianba regain his balance with one hand and said, Senior Huang Tianba, I'll leave this person with you to deal with. Your strength is currently sealed. You should enter the Saint Artifact space where I'll get someone to remove the seal from you. Jian Chen was unable to remove the seal in Huang Tianba as the brutality of chaotic force was not something ordinary people could endure. If his chaotic force entered Huang Tianba's body, it would harm him rather than help him. No, I have to kill this bastard right now. Huang Tianba was absolutely furious. Killing intent surged from him. He utterly despised the ancestor of the Huanggu clan inside. The Huanggu clan ancestor looked up at the furious Huang Tianba. Not only was fear absent in his eyes, he even laughed complacently. Ha ha ha, Huang Tianba, I can give a reason why you won't want to kill me, unless you want your precious great-granddaughter to die. Huang Tianba's expression changed immediately with that. He glared at the ancestor of the Huanggu clan and roared out, "Bastard, what did you do to her?" Even Jian Chen's expression took a turn for the worse with that. Ha ha ha, Huang Tianba, I'll tell you since you want to know. His face was filled with smugness. Even after falling into Jian Chen's hands, he did not fear losing his life. I've cast an ancient secret technique on the soul of your precious great-granddaughter long ago. I've left behind an imprint that entwines our fates in her soul. If you kill me, the imprint will erupt and kill her as well, wiping out her soul. Huang Tianba, kill me if you want your great-granddaughter to die as well. With that, Huang Tianba and Jian Chen's faces both darkened in expression. If that truly was the case, they dared not kill him. Senior Huang Tianba, I'll let you into the artifact space to remove the seal first. I'll immediately go check on Huang Luan and see if that really is the case, Jian Chen emotionlessly said to Huang Tianba. He then used the saint artifact to suck him away before he could even object. At the same time, he contacted the artifact spirit to get Hong Lian and He Yu to remove Huang Tianba's seal. Jian Chen obviously would not let the ancestor of the Huanggu clan go either. He also sucked him away, but his treatment in the artifact space would be a whole different story. The members of the Huanggu clan stood in the surroundings, stunned. All of them experienced mixed expressions. None of them had thought that their ancestor would actually do something so treacherous to the Huang family, a family they were always on good terms with. All of them were extremely shocked and struggled to accept this, feeling extremely heavy inside. They dared not show any disrespect to Jian Chen. Although they did not know about Jian Chen as well as their ancestor, they had heard about him at the very least and knew that Jian Chen was not someone their clan could agitate. Not to mention, their strongest member, their ancestor, just had his legs cleaved off, which deterred them from acting recklessly before Jian Chen even more. With a dark face, Jian Chen's eyes swept over all of the clansmen of the Huanggu clan. Whoever he stared at felt like a sharp sword was poised against them. They shivered inside, all lowering their heads. They were all completely unsettled. Jian Chen did not make it difficult for these people. He understood that they had no clue about this matter at all and knew nothing of what their ancestor had done. Afterward, Jian Chen expanded his presence straight into the ground, finding the tunnel leading to the room where Huang Luan was. He then climbed down it. Huang Luan sat in the middle of the sealed room. Dazzling water blue light lit up her surroundings, making her seem sacred and dignified, like a god. The surroundings of the room were filled with droplets of crystal-clear water. Each droplet radiated with a blue glow, dyeing the entire room a deep blue. It was rather pretty. There were a few droplets of water that drifted about, slowly rotating around Huang Luan. They were like energetic fairies, filled with beauty. Huang Luan's presence was countless times greater than before. The 5-colored rainbow clouds that had appeared several days ago were because of her. She was no longer a heaven saint master anymore but a saint ruler. The hidden potential of Huang Luan's water spirit's body was fully unlocked as she reached saint ruler. It was truly the water spirit's body now. She was like the mother of water, extremely close with the water-attributed energy in the world. She could control it as she wished, at a proficiency that no one could rival. Chapter 1068, A Hidden Crisis. Suddenly, the water-attributed energy in the room began to pulse violently. Even the droplets of water that floated about like fairies lost their ability to levitate, falling out of the air and splattering on the floor. The water-attributed energy in the world suddenly became extremely unstable. Huang Luan slowly opened her eyes. She glanced past the water droplets with her bewitching eyes as she furrowed her brows. Odd. Why do I suddenly feel like I have far less control over the water-attributed energy and that I feel like I'm losing control inside? Huang Luan murmured. She pondered and seemed to realize something very quickly. An idea flashed through her head as she mumbled to herself, is it because of the cultivation method? Did that old bastard not give me the true scripture of the aquatic sunflower? The more Huang Luan thought, the more she believed that to be the case. She gradually became solemn as a result, but she soon recovered her cool. She calmed down once more and said, it doesn't matter anymore whether that old bastard has given me the true thing or not. I've reached Saint Ruler now, and I'm countless times more powerful than a heaven Saint Master. Once that old bastard comes, I'll put up a desperate fight. Even if I have to lose my life as the price, I won't let him have it easy. As long as the news of what happened here makes it out, the clan will definitely find a way to save great-grandfather. Determination flowed in Huang Luan's eyes. She had already made up her mind about her death. She no longer yearned for a free life like before, because she knew that it was probably impossible. Suddenly, a rumble began to ring out. The heavy door began to slowly open. Huang Luan immediately dismissed her thoughts and her eyes narrowed at that moment. Dense killing intent flickered in her eyes. She knew the ancestor of the Huanggu clan had come. If she wanted to heavily injure someone more powerful than her, she needed to attack with everything she had when he was unaware, catching him off guard. Otherwise, she would definitely fall to a disadvantage in an open battle. The dense and pure energy in the room began to surge. A blue sword, 2 fingers wide, had already appeared in Huang Luan's hand. It glowed with a bright blue light, and through the light, the surface of the sword rippled unceasingly. At this moment, the door of the room had opened by a portion. It was pitch black outside, so all that could be seen was a black figure standing silently outside. His appearance was unclear. Over the past years, only one person ever walked through that doorway, and that person was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. As a result, Huang Luan treated the figure as the ancestor, so before the door had completely opened, she stabbed out. The strike was Huang Luan's most powerful attack after charging up. It was everything she had, pushing her strength of the first heavenly layer past the limits. The sword shot through the air and immediately began to shine brightly, becoming as dazzling as the sun. It dyed the dim room blue as powerful ripples of energy pulsed from the sword. It caused the surrounding space to distort as black cracks immediately appeared. They were cracks in space. Huang Luan discovered that the water-attributed saint force within her began to pulse in an unstable manner as she stabbed out, vaguely feeling like she had lost control. However, she could no longer bother with that feeling anymore. She devoted all of her attention to the attack, trying to deal a heavy blow by catching the ancestor off guard. She only wished to injure him and had no hopes of killing him. The black figure in the doorway did not panic, nor did he dodge or block. He remained where he was, in the same position. Not even energy leaked from him. Huang Luan's strike was like a lightning bolt, arriving before him instantly. She mercilessly thrust it toward the chest of the figure, and the exact moment the sword come in contact with the figure, Huang Luan discovered through the dazzling blue light that the clothes and stature of the person before her did not seem to match the Huanggu clan ancestors. However, she had no more time to think about that. Boom! Huang Luan's full-powered thrust viciously struck the chest of the figure. Pure water-attributed energy immediately erupted, and with a deep sound, the residual energy slammed into the surrounding walls as a terrifying wave. It caused the entire room to violently tremble. The room probably would have collapsed if it were not for its toughness. Huang Luan immediately rejoiced when she saw how her attack had landed precisely on his body. However, her joy quickly disappeared. She could feel that her sword had failed to pierce him in the way she had imagined. Instead, she seemed to have struck a steel board, and the powerful reaction force numbed her hand. Huang Luan's heart sank. She thought that the ancestor had probably come prepared, so her full-powered attack was unable to cause any harm to him. Luaner. At this moment, Huang Luan heard a gentle voice. She immediately jolted in a violent fashion. She was just too familiar with this voice. It would even appear in her memories quite often. Huang Luan stared at the figure in shock. She finally saw the person's appearance through the dazzling blue light of the sword. It was an extremely familiar face. Although it had changed slightly from several years ago, the face was still the same one burned deeply into Huang Luan's mind, the one she could not forget even after an eternity. Huang Luan became stunned as she stared at the person she thought of the most. She could not come back to her senses even after a very long while. Her heart beat furiously as her body trembled uncontrollably. Two clear streaks of tears slowly ran down her cheeks from her bright eyes. Jianchen, she said with a trembling voice. She struggled to believe that the person before her right now was Jianchen, who she missed most, and not the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. At that moment, she felt like everything was a dream, and she no longer experiencing reality. Luaner, it's been hard for you during these past few years, Jianchen softly replied. His voice was extremely gentle as his heart ached. The sword remained pressed against Jianchen's chest. Huang Luan's attack from before had obliterated Jianchen's clothes, but it failed to harm him at all. Jianchen, is it really you? Huang Luan asked again with a trembling voice. Fat tears rolled down her cheeks, flowing faster and faster. The sword in her hand also fell as it trembled. Luaner, it's me. I've come to save you. You're safe now. No one will ever be able to harm you again in the future. Jianchen stepped forward and tightly embraced Huang Luan. He felt like his heart was being stabbed inside. He dared not to imagine exactly what Huang Luan had gone through, exactly what burden she felt, or exactly what suffering she had endured after being trapped for all these years. There were countless people who faced horrible fates on the Tianyuan continent, with many more people who suffered even worse than Huang Luan. However, Huang Luan bore an extremely important status in Jianchen's heart. He would not allow her to suffer any harm. The sword in Huang Luan's hand slowly disappeared, and the coldness on her face gradually vanished, replaced by a gentleness that had not been seen for several years. Even her icy gaze began to thaw. She then cried out Jianchen's name before lunging into his bosom, breaking into tears. She seemed to be releasing all the pressure and grievances she had suffered over the years. Jianchen embraced Huang Luan tightly. He could feel his clothes dampen from Huang Luan's tears. His heart ached from what Huang Luan had gone through, but at the same time, he felt some joy. He was happy that Huang Luan had now become a saint ruler. Suddenly, Jianchen's face froze. He gently furrowed his brows. He could feel that the energy within Huang Luan was surging violently, as if it was not under her control at all. It rampaged about before surging out of her body into the room in the form of a bright, blue light. Huang Luan was encased by the light of the leaking energy, becoming extremely blinding. Luaner, what is happening? Jianchen asked in concern. He felt an ill omen about what was unfolding before him. Huang Luan gradually calmed down and raised her head from Jianchen's chest. Her eyes were no longer cold, now filled with gentleness as she looked at Jianchen. Jianchen, it's probably because the scripture of the aquatic sunflower from that old bastard has problems. It's very hard for me to control the power within me now. I feel like all the energy is about to leave my body and break free from my control. With that, Huang Luan placed her head against Jian Chen's chest once more. Her face was filled with satisfaction and happiness, as if she did not care about the leaking of her energy at all. She had made up her mind about her death long ago. She no longer had any attachments in the world except to Jian Chen and Huang Tianba. Since her great-grandfather had been saved now and the person who she missed the most was with her, she felt very satisfied. She did not care about being a saint ruler at all. All she needed was Jian Chen, and she felt like she had the world. She did not care about anything else. I'll definitely make that old bastard wish he was better off dead for treating you like this. Jian Chen's face was pale white. He was panicking since he was unable to stop the energy from leaking out of Huang Luan. Suddenly, a golden streak of light shot out from the center of Jian Chen's eyebrows. The saint artifact had emerged from his sea of consciousness, levitating in the room in the form of a fist-sized golden tower as it spun slowly. Luaner, I'll send you into the artifact space. Don't worry, I'll definitely be able to find the method to deal with this from that old bastard, Jian Chen comforted. He intended on entering the artifact space with Huang Luan. Jian Chen. Just as he was about to enter the artifact space, a woman's voice rang through the room. It was extremely pleasant and seemed to be filled with unlimited charm. It was bewitching. A gleam of light flashed through Jian Chen's eyes, and he suddenly raised his head. Before him, the illusionary figure of the sea goddess had silently appeared at some point unbeknownst to him. Chapter 1069, Huang Luan surrenders her body. Your Majesty, why have you appeared here? Jian Chen asked in surprise. He was in great shock. If I didn't appear now, your friend would be completely doomed. Once the energy within her and the potential of her water spirit's body leaks away, she will become immortal. It would be a waste for a great water spirit's body, the sea goddess said with a gentle but dignified voice as she stared at Huang Luan. Jian Chen immediately began to panic when he heard that Huang Luan could become immortal, as well as the fact that energy was leaking out of her body unceasingly. He hurriedly requested, Your Majesty, please save Luaner. The sea goddess pointed with a finger. There was no earth-shaking presence that erupted. It just seemed to freeze time. As she extended her finger, the pure water-attributed energy in the room immediately froze. Even the energy leaking out of Huang Luan seemed to be obstructed by a mysterious power, sealing it firmly within her. Huang Luan's face immediately changed when she sensed the change in her body. She was astounded. She felt like all the energy within her belonged to someone else in that instance. She had no control over it. Although she had been losing control over the energy before, she still maintained some authority. She was just unable to stop it from leaking out. Now, she had completely lost all authority, as if all the energy she had gathered arduously from cultivation in the past years had become someone else's. Freezing the pure energy with a single gesture, the sea goddess looked to Jian Chen. Jian Kem, I can only forcefully control some of the power with my soul and prevent it from leaking out anymore. If you want to save her, it'll all depend on you yourself. Jian Chen could not help but feel relieved now that Huang Luan was temporarily out of danger. He said, Your Majesty, just how do I make it so that Huang Luan retains her strength? Is it finding the correct cultivation method? The sea goddess shook her head. I know a little about the scripture of the aquatic sunflower she cultivates. It was created by a prodigy several hundreds of thousands of years ago. In the very beginning, there was only one version. It was a water-attributed cultivation method that belonged to the upper levels, extremely wondrous in nature. The prodigy reached Saint King in just 1,000 years using this method. Afterward, he came across a woman who possessed the water spirit's body. The speed at which she practiced water-attributed cultivation methods completely astounded the prodigy, so he became interested in her. Approaching her intentionally, he quickly became her cultivation partner. As he came in contact with the water spirit's body many times, the prodigy gained an even clearer understanding regarding the special constitution. He used his supreme talent to create a second version of the scripture of the aquatic sunflower in a few decades and then passed it on to his cultivation partner to practice. The woman did not doubt him at all and began cultivating the second version of the cultivation method. However, what she never realized was that the second version was not a powerful cultivation method, but a cultivation method that was made for the water spirit's body. After practicing it, she lost control over all the energy within her, and even the potential from the water spirit's body was taken from her. She became just like your friend right now. The prodigy absorbed all the pure, water-attributed energy from his partner as well as the potential of the water spirit's body, turning it into his own. Not only did his strength skyrocket, even his talent in cultivation greatly increased. He became a saint emperor on the Tianyuan continent in the end. As for his partner, she lost all her powers and turned into a mortal. She was reduced to an old, white-haired woman from her beauty before and committed suicide from heartache. The sea goddess paused slightly there. She looked at Jian Chen before continuing, "You should understand now. Your friend has practiced the second version of the scripture of the aquatic sunflower. The person who gave it to her wants to use the same special method as that prodigy to absorb your friend's energy and potential and turn it into his own." Jian Chen and Huang Luan both fell silent because of what the sea goddess said, and they remained silent for a very long time. They felt greatly influenced by the sea goddess story. They all felt sorry for the woman who was harmed by her husband, feeling deeply sympathetic. At the same time, Jian Chen's killing intent for the ancestor of the Huanggu clan grew even denser. It reached an absolute limit, except he did not unleash it here. "Your Majesty, what happened to the prodigy in the end?" Jian Chen inquired. He cared for the answer very much. After reaching Saint Emperor, the prodigy became embroiled in a large-scale battle and was killed, said the sea goddess. Jian Chen was satisfied by the outcome of the prodigy. Although he possessed great talent, he was evil-hearted. He ruthlessly harmed his wife who trusted him. He deserved more than death. That woman is so pitiful. Huang Luan was filled with sympathy. Also, as a woman and in possession of the water spirit's body, she felt deep pain for what the woman had gone through. "There is nothing pitiful if you live in this world," the sea goddess said. Her voice was gentle, but it was emotionlessly cold. She was one of the 4 champions from ancient times and had emerged step by step from a ruthless past. She had just seen too many things like this. The sea goddess continued after some silence, "Jian Chen, there's only one method to save your friend, to let her keep her water spirit's body in her current strength." "What's the method?" Jian Chen gathered his attention and quickly threw the story regarding the scripture of the aquatic sunflower to the back of his mind. He had a deep understanding regarding the brutality of the continent, so it was difficult for his mental state to be affected by a few stories. At most, he would just form some feelings for it. Huang Luan also turned to the sea goddess. She did not know the sea goddess' true identity right now, but she clearly paid much attention since the sea goddess could resolve her problem. Although Huang Luan had opened her mind a lot more and no longer viewed her strength with much importance, she also understood very well that she needed to have enough strength to stay beside Jian Chen. Her lifespan would greatly decrease if she lost all her powers and became a mortal, and she would age as a result. If it was possible, she also wished to retain her strength so that she could be with Jian Chen forever. The sea goddess did not reply immediately. Her gaze became rather complicated, and she only spoke after hesitating, "Jian Chen, if you want to resolve the problem with your friend's body, you need to use an even greater force to suppress the potential that's being stripped away, and then you will redeposit it into her with my assistance from the side, thus rebuilding the water spirit's body." Jian Chen became a little troubled. "Your Majesty, the power I use is too great. Huang Luan's body may not be able to withstand it." "Your power is indeed very great, something that ordinary people cannot withstand, but don't worry. I have a way of weakening your power. The water spirit's body is no ordinary constitution. If the two of you come together, you can control the power so that it enters slowly from the lower body and then have it pause in the dantian of the water spirit's body. The pure water-attributed energy will neutralize your brutal energy. Coupled with my help, she should be able to endure your power, the sea goddess explained. What? We have to use a method where we come together? Jian Chen immediately became surprised as disbelief flooded his face. He doubted what he heard right now. Huang Luan also became bright red in an instant. She peeked at Jian Chen from the corner of her eye before quickly burrowing her head into Jian Chen's chest. She hugged him even tighter. That's the only method I can think of. There's nothing else other than that. The sea goddess stared deeply into Jian Chen's eyes. But that'll harm Luaner. Jian Chen hesitated as he wavered. He could not make up his mind. At the same time, he could clearly feel Huang Luan against his chest, and he felt like he was rapidly heating up. Huang Luan slowly raised her head. Some affection filled her bright eyes as she glanced at Jian Chen in an infatuated manner. She said, "Jian Chen, I belong to you. Both my body and my soul belong to only you. In this world, only you are worthy of me. I'm not afraid of being harmed." Huang Luan's breath became rather haggard as she spoke and her heart beat even heavier. She slowly unbuttoned her dress and it immediately slid down her body, revealing her white skin. Luaner, Jian Chen bit his lip as he looked at Huang Luan's enchanting, hourglass figure. Although he knew that Huang Luan was deeply in love with him, he felt like he was just taking advantage of the situation and the circumstances to become one with Huang Luan. "Jian Chen, I only have you in my heart. I've belonged to you since a very long time ago. I love you very much. Take me. I want to truly become your woman." Huang Luan stared at Jian Chen with deep affection as she slowly began to take off Jian Chen's clothes. Huang Luan was clearly extremely straightforward with her emotions. She did not suppress or avoid them purposefully, completely different to ordinary girls. Jian Chen slowly closed his eyes. He seemed to be in a great dilemma inside, but when he opened his eyes once more, there was no longer any hesitation, only determination. Bang! With a jolt, a powerful force erupted from him and turned his clothes into shreds, revealing his almost perfect figure. He then tightly hugged Huang Luan's burning body. At the same time, he brought his lips to meet Huang Luan's cherry lips. Two naked people coiled together 1,000 meters underground. Chapter 1070, Entwined Fates. The light that had dyed the room a water blue had already disappeared. It was pitch black currently, so dark that nothing could be seen. Only enchanting, arousing sounds constantly rang out. Jian Chen remained clear-headed in the room. He carefully guided slivers of chaotic force slowly out of his dantian and into Huang Luan's body through a special method. He then had them stop in Huang Luan's dantian for a while according to the sea goddess method. Huang Luan's water spirit's body was indeed much more wondrous than any ordinary constitution. Even though she had lost control of the pure, water-attributed energy, it was no weaker than before. He could indeed feel the brutal, destructive presence of the chaotic force being neutralized by the energy when it paused in her dantian, constantly weakening. "Jian Chen, I will now tell you the detailed method on how to rebuild the water spirit's body. You must do everything according to my instructions and do nothing wrong, or the reconstruction will probably be impossible," the sea goddess voice rang in Jian Chen's head. Afterward, she extended a finger and the frozen pure energy in the room immediately began to surge toward Huang Luan's body, before disappearing into her. All the energy and potential of the water spirit's body that had drifted out returned to Huang Luan's body under the control of the sea goddess. Ever since she began to practice the second version of the scripture of the aquatic sunflower, Huang Luan's water spirit's body had been ruined and was about to collapse. If the sea goddess had not arrived in time, she probably would have lost all of her powers and would have been reduced to a mortal. The sea goddess passed on the method to reconstruct the water spirit's body to Jian Chen, and then assisted him from one side. She used her powerful soul that belonged in the origin realm as well as her supreme control over water-attributed energy to rebuild the water spirit's body with Jian Chen. The constitution was something unique that would rarely appear even over the span of 100,000 years. It was completely innate, not something that could be achieved through cultivation. Huang Luan's water spirit's body was about to collapse, and her energy and potential had already begun to disperse. Rebuilding the constitution under such a situation was undoubtedly an extremely difficult matter, even impossible. The water spirit's body was no ordinary constitution. Even well-versed saint emperors would have no idea what to do with it, let alone rebuild it. However, it was fortunate that Huang Luan received the help from the sea goddess this time, which was why the constitution could be recovered. The sea goddess was one of the 4 supreme experts from ancient times after all, having reached the legendary origin realm. As a supreme existence in regards to water, no one could rival her understanding of the water spirit's body. The reconstruction process was successful. Jian Chen did what the sea goddess instructed and followed every step and detail carefully. Finally, after one whole day, Huang Luan recovered her water spirit's body. Now that the problems in her body were completely removed, Huang Luan's senses of water immediately reached an unprecedented level. She could also feel that the compatibility between her body and water-attributed energy was unbelievable. Right now, she only needed a single thought to instantly gather all the water-attributed energy in the radius of several dozen kilometers, all of which would be under her control. She had experienced this before, but it was never as powerful as right now. Not only did the constitution provide Huang Luan with almost heaven-defying talent in cultivation, it also granted her supreme control over water-attributed energy as well as a future of infinite potential. The chaotic force that entered Huang Luan did not return to Jian Chen's body. It was permanently deposited in Huang Luan's body under the sea goddess control, allowing Huang Luan to refine it into strands of pure, water-attributed saint force. It became her own power. Although not a lot of chaotic force had entered Huang Luan's body, each strand was composed of vast quantities of energy, so just that tiny amount caused Huang Luan's strength to skyrocket. She reached the 3rd heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. However, that was not all that happened. Even her water spirit's body benefited, increasing the toughness of her body. It was still far from Jian Chen's chaotic body, but no one else could rival it even if they possessed a similar level of cultivation. Even the pure, water-attributed saint force within her seemed to undergo some minute changes. The problems with Huang Luan's water spirit's body were finally resolved completely, allowing Jian Chen to relax. The two of them finally separated, and they pulled out clothes from their space rings to put on at the same time. What differed was they felt inside. Jian Chen was strewn between different emotions, while Huang Luan felt pleasant, satisfied, and happy. Jian Chen. Huang Luan could not help but call out Jian Chen's name softly after putting on her clothes. She stuck to Jian Chen's body once more, laying on his chest silently with a satisfied and happy smile. She was like glue. Jian Chen gently wrapped his arm around Huang Luan's figure and slowly inhaled the fragrance of Huang Luan. He knew that Huang Luan had truly become his woman now, both on paper and in actuality. At the same time, it was the second woman he had entwined with. The first was the cold, prideful beauty, the heavenly enchantress. The two of them only embraced each other due to their special circumstance because of the fact that their lives were threatened. As for Huang Luan, it was the same case, but it was different from the first time as well. Huang Luan was passionate and threw herself at Jian Chen, offering her body to him. Sigh, Jian Chen exhaled inside. He could not help but think of everything that had happened in the past, the scene where he accidentally came across Huang Luan in the river outside Walorant City. Jian Chen could not help but emotionally sigh inside as he thought about how he first met Huang Luan. Who would have thought that the girl he had accidentally met would end up with a relationship like this with him? Suddenly, Jian Chen seemed to think of something. He quickly dismissed his thoughts and said to Huang Luan, "Is the ancient secret technique that binds your fate, cast by the ancestor of the Huanggu clan, still present on you?" Huang Luan nodded and said nothing else. Jian Chen's heart slightly sank after confirming that it was still there. He then looked at the sea goddess. "Your Majesty, may I ask if you have some understanding regarding these types of secret techniques and if you are able to undo them or not?" Jian Chen did not feel indebted to the sea goddess even though she had helped him a lot. He knew he would pay her back in the future, when the worldly ebb of the sea realm occurs. "I can help your friend reconstruct her body in my current form, but I am unable to break the secret technique. However, it is not difficult to remove it. You can take her to a protector. There should be people there who can manage," said the sea goddess. Afterward, Jian Chen and Huang Luan bid farewell to the sea goddess before leaving the underground room together. They discovered that a large portion of the Huanggu clan people had left once they returned to the surface. Only a small portion of old people remained. While Jian Chen was underground, the clansmen moved a large portion of their clan away, fearing Jian Chen's rage because of Huang Tianba and Huang Luan's sufferings, hoping that they could save at least just a few people. Only a few older people who were loyal to the family and did not fear death remained. If it was before, Jian Chen would definitely vent his anger on these people, or even wipe out the entire clan. However, he was now a saint king and his mentality had undergone some changes. Coupled with the fact that the clansmen had no idea that Huang Tianba had been trapped, he did not make it difficult for them. He left with Huang Luan, returning to the Huang family. The seal within Huang Tianba was removed by He Yi. Together with the personal treatment from the artifact spirit, Huang Tianba recovered extremely quickly, having returned to peak condition long ago. The Huanggu clan ancestor thrown into the artifact space by Jian Chen was also brutally tortured by Huang Tianba, making him feel like he was better off dead. However, his life was not threatened due to the secret technique he had cast on Huang Luan. Huang Tianba and Huang Luan returned to the Huang family, and the news of them being trapped in the Huanggu clan quickly spread through the entire family. The news immediately caused a great uproar. Afterward, Huang Tianba took the clan treasure, the Solunar Bow, with him, personally leading group of experts to the Huanggu clan in a threatening manner. He swore to wipe out the Huanggu clan, to make it vanish from the continent. Meanwhile, Jian Chen and Huang Luan stayed at the Huang family in ease. They did not pay any attention to Huang Tianba's actions. Once Huang Tianba returned, Jian Chen learned that Huang Tianba had used the Solunar Bow to destroy the region where the clan had settled down and that the remaining elderly members of the Huanggu clan were attacked collectively by the experts he had brought along. He killed them all, and also sent half of the Huang family experts to pursue the group of people who had fled from the Huanggu clan. He wanted to end the Huanggu clan completely. Jian Chen did not bother too much with these matters. Although he knew that many of the people were innocent, the concepts of innocence and benevolence did not exist on this continent. If the Huang family did not completely wipe out the Huanggu clan, the Huang family would face its end once the remaining members of the Huanggu clan rose up and became peak-level experts. Chapter 1071, Going to Mercenary City. The sun was blood-red as it neared the horizon. Jian Chen stood straight, like a sword, at the peak of a range of mountains in white robes. He stared at the red clouds, as if he was in a trance, without moving at all. A sea of white clouds floated beneath him. Where he currently stood was the tallest mountain peak in the mountain range where the Huang family resided. The mountains were so steep and dangerous that they were unscalable. The wild wind violently buffeted him high up in the air, whistling past his ears. Coupled with it were the roars of beasts from the forests in the distance, sounding like the dreadful cries of ghosts as they fused together with the wind. A white figure quickly shot over from the distance, arriving on the mountain peak where Jian Chen stood in an instant. Afterward, she walked up to his side and gently grabbed Jian Chen's arm, resting her head on his shoulder. Her face was filled with happiness and satisfaction. She was Huang Luan. Huang Luan was dressed especially prettily today, wearing makeup to accentuate her alluring beauty. Her eyes were bright and seemed to possess a wondrous charm, possessing some grace in her purity. It was enchanting. Her glossy, black hair fell down her shoulders like a waterfall. She had worn a white, luxurious dress on purpose today, so she looked like a goddess. Standing next to Jian Chen, who was also in white robes, the two of them possessed the aura of an immortal couple. Huang Luan leaned close to Jian Chen's bosom. She was filled with happiness and joy, watching the sun set with Jian Chen. Neither one said anything. As the blood-red sunlight gradually faded, darkness gradually descended upon the dusk. The moment when the world was about to be engulfed by darkness, the whistling of wind vibrated from afar and a figure shot over like a comet. He made his way toward Jian Chen with lightning speed, arriving in just a few seconds. "My beloved junior, why have you called me here?" Huang Tianba chuckled with a smile. He had even begun to refer to Jian Chen as his junior instead of brother like before. He felt extremely happy, especially when he saw how Huang Luan and Jian Chen were together. Huang Luan became embarrassed with how she stuck to Jian Chen so intimately after her great-grandfather arrived. She hesitantly let go of Jian Chen's arm before glancing at Huang Tianba with a slight blush. She gently said, "Great-grandfather." Huang Tianba chuckled even more when he saw how Huang Luan became embarrassed like a little girl. He nodded but did not say anything more. Jian Chen slowly turned around and looked at Huang Tianba calmly. He smiled, "Senior Huang, I've called you here this time because I have something important to discuss with you." Huang Tianba immediately became stern when he heard how it was important. He said, "Please continue." Jian Chen continued, "Senior Huang, I want to take you to Mercenary City and get the barrier spirit to invoke the mysteries of the world so you can comprehend them and thus break through. Are you willing to come?" "What? To get the barrier spirit of Mercenary City to invoke the mysteries of the world so I can comprehend and break through?" Huang Tianba became surprised. He stared fixedly at Jian Chen, wide-eyed, as disbelief flooded his face. He felt shocked inside, struggled to convince himself that that was what Jian Chen had said. Huang Tianba also knew a little regarding the barrier spirit of Mercenary City. He did not know a lot, but he did know one thing: the barrier spirit had existed since ancient times and was an existence that had survived through the ages. It was extremely powerful, always playing the role of the Mercenary City's protector god. What he found difficult to believe was that Jian Chen could actually get the barrier to invoke the mysteries of the world and assist people in making breakthroughs. It was just too shocking. No similar rumors had ever appeared on the continent, let alone the fact that anyone knew the barrier spirit could do such things. "Senior Huang, are you willing to come?" Jian Chen seemed to smile at Huang Tianba through his eyes. I'm willing. Of course I'm willing. How could I miss something so good?" Huang Tianba returned to his senses and hurriedly replied. He was afraid that his late reply would make him miss out on such a rare opportunity. Huang Tianba left afterward as he was ravished by joy. He handed over some matters within the clan before leaving with Jian Chen on the morning of the next day. He went with Jian Chen, making their way to the Changyang clan in Lore City. Huang Luan left with Jian Chen. Although the problems with her water spirit's body had been resolved, the imprint left in her head by the Huanggu clan ancestor still remained. While Jian Chen stayed at the Huang family, he had visited the Huanggu clan ancestor trapped within the saint artifact. He wanted to learn the method of releasing the seal from him. However, he was a sly old fox who had lived for over 2,000 years, so he knew that the secret technique was the only thing keeping him alive. How could he tell someone else how to release it so easily? In the end, Jian Chen failed to learn about the method of release from the old man no matter what he tried. Jian Chen dared not harm the life of the Huanggu clan ancestor due to the restrictions of the secret technique. With no other choice, he left the old man be. He would come back to deal with him after he found a way to remove the seal from Huang Luan. Jian Chen returned to the Changyang clan very quickly with Huang Luan and Huang Tianba. The two of them had stopped being outsiders to the rest of the clan long ago since they had gotten to know each other quite some time ago. As a result, they were warmly welcomed as soon as they arrived. Bai Hai warmly welcomed them in particular. As he was good friends with Huang Tianba, he was pulled aside to drink as soon as they met. Jian Chen stayed in the Changyang clan for 1 day, before leaving for Mercenary City with Bai Hai, Huang Tianba, Ong Ling, Huang Luan, and Uncle Chang. They traveled through a spatial gate constructed by Rui Jin. The people beside Jian Chen right now were only the people he trusted most. There was also Jie Tai, but Jian Chen still did not completely trust him, which was why he did not take Jie Tai with him this time. As for Changyang Zhu Yunkong, a seal remained in his head so he was unable to increase his strength at all. It would only be harmful to him otherwise. Big brother, you've finally come. As soon as Jian Chen arrived in Mercenary City, Xiaoling appeared before him in an illusionary form. Perhaps because she saw Jian Chen, her pure face was filled with happiness. Jian Chen could help but smile when he saw Xiaoling. He had begun to view Xiaoling as his own younger sister since long ago. Xiaoling, how's Ming Dong? The 3 pieces of beast fur in your friend's hand are not simple, big brother. The mysteries of the world are actually hidden within them. I used my own powers to awaken them inside, and then with some hard work, I invoked the mysteries of the world on the side as well, so your friend finally reached Saint Ruler. However, he's cultivating right now, said Xiaoling. She was proud of herself. Ming Dong's also become a Saint Ruler, murmured Jian Chen. He felt happy for Ming Dong inside. Jian Chen, who are you talking to? A pleasant voice rang out from beside him. Huang Luan asked Jian Chen as she hung onto Jian Chen's arm, her eyes shining with curiosity. It was not just her, even Huang Tianba, Bai Hai, Yang Ling and Chang Wuji stared at him in amazement. Jian Chen knew that they could not see Xiaoling, but he did not explain his actions. He said to Xiaoling, they're all friends and senior of me. I hope Xiaoling can assist them in their cultivation in the future. Xiaoling obediently nodded, yes. Big brother, don't worry. Xiaoling will definitely work hard to increase their strength. With that, she waved her hand and Jian Chen's group immediately felt everything go black. They had been dragged underground by Xiaoling's abilities, and even Rui Jin came along. When the scene before them brightened up once more, they discovered that they had arrived in a completely sealed room. There were no cracks on the wall at all, completely flawless like nature. There was not even a door out. Jian Chen looked around a little. He knew that the room was completely created from energy, probably prepared by Xiaoling specially for Bai Hai and the others. Big brother, you can cultivate here in the future. Xiaoling will invoke the mysteries of the world for you, but comprehending them will completely depend on you. Xiaoling's illusionary body reappeared before Jian Chen as she levitated in the air. This time, Bai Hai, Huang Tianba, Ong Ling, Huang Luan, and Chang Wuji's attention were all drawn toward her at the same time. They could all see her. My dear junior, is this the barrier spirit of Mercenary City? Huang Tianba could not help but ask as he stared unblinkingly at Xiaoling. He was filled with curiosity. Jian Chen nodded before introducing everyone to Xiaoling. He left Huang Tianba, Bai Hai, Yang Ling, and Chang Wuji there. Jian Chen also took the 3 pieces of beast fur from Ming Dong before handing them to Chang Wuji. He wished that Chang Wuji could reach Saint Ruler as soon as possible. Chang Wuji's talent was relatively ordinary. He had not reached Saint Ruler even after close to 1,000 years. Now, due to the fact that he was too old and extremely close to the end of his life, the effects of heavenly resources would be minimal. The assistance from Xiaoling and the 3 pieces of beast fur was his final chance at reaching Saint Ruler. If he could not break through even under such circumstances, it would be impossible for him in the future. Afterward, Jian Chen asked Xiaoling whether she could remove the secret technique in Huang Luan's head. The outcome, however, was extremely disappointing. Xiaoling was an expert of the origin realm, but she was not an omnipotent god. It was impossible to break such a profound ancient secret technique planted directly on a person's soul even if someone had heavenly abilities. Xiaoling was in the origin realm. Her battle prowess was extremely great, and she was basically invincible on the Tianyuan continent. However, she was just too negligent. Since the ancient times, she had mostly spent her time sleeping. The number of abilities she knew were just too few, so she could do nothing about the secret technique that entwined the fates of 2 people. Compared to the sea goddess, Xiaoling might have been slightly more powerful, but she was nowhere near the sea goddess in terms of knowledge, experience, and secret techniques. For certain matters, Xiaoling could not even compare to the mercenaries who had spent some time wandering the Tianyuan continent. Chapter 1072, Comprehending the Mysteries of the World. Jian Chen could not help but become slightly dejected seeing how Xiaoling could do nothing. He sighed inside, looks like I can only go ask Senior Tian Jian and the people of the Protector clans in the future. I hope I can obtain the method to remove the seal from Huang Luan from them. Jian Chen and Huang Luan stayed behind to get Xiaoling to invoke the mysteries of the world for them. Although Jian Chen possessed the strength of a 7th heavenly layer Saint King with his Emperor armament, his comprehension of the mysteries of the world remained at the level of a 7th heavenly layer Saint Ruler. He possessed the ability to kill Saint Kings, but he was never able to rip open space gates, always requiring Rui Jin and He Yu to assist him. Jian Chen wanted to make up for this weakness as soon as possible right now. He did not wish for his comprehension to reach the same level of strength he possessed, only so that it could reach the level of Saint Kings. That way, he would be able to create his own space gates. It was evident that Jian Chen's talent could be described as unprecedented. Both his cultivation speed and rate of comprehension was supreme. He submerged all his attention into the mysteries of the world invoked by Xiaoling, fusing it into his soul so he could comprehend it closely. Ordinary people would devote all their efforts into the comprehension for the mysteries of the world. The mysteries they comprehended would be hazy, uncertain and illusionary, like an image that was concealed by mist. They needed to get past this mist first, to see the reality within, if they wanted to achieve any comprehension. Now that Jian Chen and the others possessed Xiaoling's assistance, they seemed to be able to see the image itself, able to observe it clearly. It was not concealed by any mist, nor any illusionary and uncertain obstructions. They managed to avoid many winding paths, so it was much easier for them to comprehend compared to other saint rulers. This was not spoon-feeding them. Although the mysteries of the world were invoked by Xiaoling, they were still required to comprehend them and understand if they wanted to benefit from them. Otherwise, it would just be a waste of effort. They would gain nothing. Jian Chen, Huang Luan, Bai Hai, and Huang Tianba were completely submerged within the invoked mysteries. They felt that the mysteries of the world were so close to them. They had never remembered that the mysteries could be so close. They felt the mysteries were so clear in that moment, no longer hazy like before. In the room where Chang Wuji stayed, the 3 pieces of beast fur flew about by themselves. A profound presence radiated from them as they slowly revolved around Chang Wuji. Chang Wuji seemed like a meditating old monk, sitting there without moving at all. All his attention was submerged into them. He could feel that he seemed to vaguely understand something, but he failed to grasp onto it during the process. Yang Ling also sat there silently. He did not have the assistance of the beast furs, so he needed to work hard himself and comprehend the mysteries of the world in order to reach Saint Ruler. They all lost sense of time as they cultivated. In the blink of an eye, they had all stayed in Mercenary City for a year. All of them benefited greatly, Jian Chen in particular. He reached the 8th heavenly layer in cultivation, and was continuing toward the 9th. Bai Hai and Huang Tianba gained great benefits as well. They had reached the 6th and 5th heavenly layers respectively long ago, and were close to reaching the peak. Now with Xiaoling's help, they comprehended the mysteries of the world in the most direct way, thus improving extremely quickly. They all made a breakthrough to the next level of cultivation, reaching the 7th and 6th heavenly layers. Huang Luan had only reached Saint Ruler recently, but her strength had reached the 3rd heavenly layer due to Jian Chen. Her foundation was nowhere as firm as Huang Tianba's or Bai Hai's, so her strength did not increase that year. She did not go without benefits, however. Although she remained at the 3rd heavenly layer, her comprehensions of the mysteries increased quite a lot. She was advancing to the 4th heavenly layer. Meanwhile, Yang Ling and Chang Wuji remained the same before, without making any advances toward Saint Ruler. At the same time, a huge divine hall levitated in the dark and cold outer space directly above the continent. It was a magnificent and extravagant structure, completely white and glowing with a pure light. It illuminated the surrounding darkness. A huge throne floated 3 meters in the air in the center of the top floor. A layer of visible moonlight force slowly coiled around it, shining with soft light and dyeing the room white. Yu sat on the throne with the moon god scepter in hand. She was meditating as powerful ripples of energy pulsed from her from time to time. The moonlight force around the throne was constantly absorbed by her, allowing her presence to rapidly increase. As Jian Chen and the others comprehended the mysteries of the world through Xiaoling's help, Yu did not idle about either. She remained in the cold and cheerless divine hall, silently enduring the boredom and loneliness to work hard on increasing her strength. After the modification of her constitution with the moon essence and gaining the cultivation method that surpassed the saint tier, Yu's rate of improvement was no slower than Huang Luan with her water spirit's body, maybe even far exceeding it. In a mere year, Yu reached the 4th cycle as a heaven saint master from the 1st cycle. If she continued like that, she would only need another half a year to reach the 6th cycle. He Yu, Hong Lian, Carolot, and Kazda Jianxiong also recovered to their peak conditions after having all their energy drained away by the bright moon divine hall a year ago. Carolot and Kazda Jianxiong left the artifact space half a year ago, returning to their clans after bidding farewell to Jian Chen. Kara Liwei had also left the artifact space. She congratulated Jian Chen on the matter with Yu obtaining the bright moon divine hall before returning with her ancestor. However, she felt very envious when she mentioned the divine hall. Rui Jin, He Yu, and Hong Lian all remained within the artifact space. They were all at the great perfection of Saint King and only an inch away from Saint Emperor. They needed to overcome this gap by themselves, as any help from Xiaoling was useless. A mountain range, always surrounded by poisonous mist, existed within the Karl Empire of the 3 great empires. It was extremely well known in the empire, where almost everyone knew about it. Not only had it existed in the empire for over 100,000 years, it had taken the lives of countless adventurous mercenaries and experts. Even saint rulers could meet their end in the mountain range. As time went on, the mountain range was labeled as a forbidden region within the Karl Empire by countless mercenaries and experts. It was named the Soul-Claiming Mountains. A deathly silence did not exist in the mountain range, instead, it was teeming with life. Countless green vegetation grew there, even great trees that were hundreds or even thousands of years old. Magical beasts would move about from time to time in the thickets. It was no different than an ordinary forest. However, the only difference was that everything was poisonous. Poison was present everywhere. Not only were the plants poisonous, even the soil was poisonous, enough to threaten the lives of Earth Saint Masters. The deeper one went into the mountain range, the poison would grow stronger and stronger, where even Heaven Saint Masters would struggle to stay afloat in the end. All the magical beasts that thrived there were powerful, venomous beasts without a doubt. A bare mountain peak stood in the depths of the mountain range. It was surrounded by vast quantities of poisonous mist, so dense that it had almost condensed into a liquid. Even the high-class magical beasts that thrived in the mountain range could not approach it. In the center of the mountain range existed a huge space carved out by a person. Fist-sized luminous pearls were lodged into the ceiling. They radiated with bright light and illuminated the dark cavern. A middle-aged man, who seemed to be in his 40s, sat there like a sculpture. He wore black robes. The man's appearance was ordinary, but his face was resolute. The muscles on his face seemed to be stiff, as if he never smiled. It made him seem rather straightforward at the same time. There was an extremely eye-catching scar that stretched across his forehead. It was terrifying, enough to frighten people just by looking at it. Beside him stood a 1.3-meter-long sword, stuck in the soil. The sword seemed ordinary, but a vast, chilling pressure emanated from within. Suddenly, the man snapped open his eyes, and they immediately began to glow with two odd and different lights. One of the eyes was sharp, filled with vigor and was firm, while the other eye possessed a demonic light. The light flashed about the eye, as if it was a will-o-wisp jumping about. Kakakakaka, by Tao, my soul has undergone a basic fusion with yours. You can now use a portion of my powers, and you can use all of the power in my saint weapon, the heaven-quaking sword. You now possess the strength to move without restraint on the Tianyuan continent. Go deal with your matters as soon as possible. Don't forget about the promise after you finish with them. An odd, husky laughter rang through the middle-aged man's head. The voice was extremely unpleasant, like the sobs of a ghost. Chapter 1073, Changes of Hellfire City. The middle-aged man suddenly stood up and a vast presence immediately began to radiate from him. It shook the surroundings with raw force, causing the entire mountain to shake slightly. Venerable Poison's word, don't worry. I am a person who keeps his word. I will do it since I've agreed to you. Once I take revenge for the devastation of the Bai family, my body will belong to you. I will not resist. Determination flowed through the man's eyes. He was not afraid of death. Kakakaka, all right, good. I trust you, but I do hope you move a little faster, so that I don't have to wait too long. The horrible, husky voice rang in Bai Dao's head again. It sounded impatient. Bai Dao said nothing. With a wave of his hand, the sword in the ground immediately erupted with extremely great energy, which collided with the mountain. With a boom, the entire cavern collapsed. The rock was actually reduced to pieces by the supreme power that erupted from the ordinary-looking sword. My dwelling, my dwelling. Bai Dao, you brat, do you know that I constructed this dwelling all those years ago with so much work? Why, you've actually destroyed my dwelling. You drive me mad. The venerable Poison's word hiding within Bai Dao's head immediately bellowed out in anger with the destruction of the cavern. Venerable Poison's word, you will be able to see the light of day again soon. Do you still care that much about a mere dwelling? Bai Dao said coldly and emotionlessly. He had already grasped the sword tightly in his hand. The sword was no ordinary weapon, but a king armament left behind by a saint king at great perfection. It was the heaven-quaking sword, the saint weapon of Venerable Poison's word who had once shaken up the continent 20,000 years ago. Venerable Poison's word immediately shut up because of what Bai Dao had said. Bai Dao remained silent as well. With the heaven-quaking sword in hand, he shot off like a cannonball, climbing up into the sky in an instant. He shot off into the distance after determining his directions and immediately disappeared into the dense mist. Hellfire City was a king city in the Karl Empire. Regardless of size, area, or prosperity, it was only second to the 7 capital cities of the continent. Hellfire City possessed several tens of thousands of years of history in the Karl Empire. Its walls were entirely made from essence metal. They were extremely tough and could resist the attacks of Class 5 magical beasts with ease. Throughout history, the walls had fended off over 100 magical beast hordes, allowing the city to come out unscathed each time. Several millions of people lived within the city. Coupled with the everyday flow of people, the number of people that Hellfire City could accommodate was close to 100 million. Many experts rose from Hellfire City since there was such a large population, along with countless clans of different sizes. The Blood Cloud clan was the most powerful clan in the city. It was originally the second greatest there, but ever since the Bai family had been wiped out in a single night 50 years ago, they had completely replaced them. They were now unquestionably the greatest clan in the city. This was because the Blood Cloud clan possessed a new saint ruler. He was not an ancestor of the clan, but a talented junior. With his supreme talent, he reached saint ruler in just a few hundred years, and he even became the disciple of an imperial protector of the empire. He was deeply valued and was raised as a pillar of support for the future of the empire, causing the clan's status in the city to soar, becoming admired by everyone. A vast presence suddenly appeared outside the city. A figure made its way past the great walls of the city in the form of a blur. Without any decrease in speed, it flew to the center of the city with a threatening presence, alerting countless people along the way. The figure brazenly flew through a small portion of the city and descended before a large manor in the very center of the city. It was where the Blood Cloud clan resided. The figure wore black robes and radiated with a presence so vast that it would make people suffocate. His long hair danced in the windless air as his robes fluttered as well. He stared at the manor in a daze as reminiscence filled his eyes. Deep sorrow was also present. The 4 burly guards at the entrance of the clan stared at the man in shock. Without saying anything, they ran into the clan to report what had happened. They dared not stay for even a moment longer. The presence from the man had utterly frightened them, causing their legs to tremble. They believed that they had seen quite a few experts themselves, but this was the first time they had sensed such a great presence. Vast pressure came from the presence, which made the guards feel like their souls were going to shatter. Before the guards could even report what had happened, all of the experts in the clan sensed the frighteningly vast presence as well. Immediately, an energetic and polite voice rang out from within the clan, "May I inquire who you may be to have come to my clan as a guest?" "I am Wuxia, the patriarch of the Blood Cloud clan. I welcome you to the Blood Cloud clan on behalf of all clansmen." A dashing, middle-aged man in golden robes slowly walked out of the manor. Although he was unhurried, each step of his covered several dozen meters. He arrived at the main entrance with a little more than 10 steps, before politely bowing to the black-robed man. Wuxia was the same genius of the clan who had reached Saint Ruler in less than 1,000 years. He had also become a deeply valued disciple of an imperial protector of the empire. At the same time, he was the patriarch of the Blood Cloud clan. Afterward, the clan filled with blurs. Several Heaven Saint Masters and a group of Earth Saint Masters hurried over from all directions, all gathering behind Wuxia. They stared at the black-robed man sternly, unsure about his intentions. The black-robed man stood dead straight, like a stick outside the Blood Cloud clan's doors. He stared in a daze at the 2 large words, Blood Cloud clan, written on the amethyst board above the main entrance. His expression was extremely mixed, filled with reminiscence, sorrow, and anger. "I never thought that Hellfire City would change so much after leaving for 50 years. The once prosperous clan from then has also become memories of the past, nothing of it remains now." "Nothing," murmured the black-robed man. His sorrow grew deeper and deeper, before quickly turning into an icy killing intent. In that moment, all the pain and reminiscence in his eyes disappeared. It all became abnormally cold. Suddenly, the man stabbed his sword into the ground. A terrifying storm of energy erupted, charging toward the Blood Cloud clan with an unstoppable force, as if it was under someone's control. "Senior, what are your intentions? Yu Zixing paled in surprise, immediately backpedaling. At the same time, Saint Force gushed out of his body, turning into a barrier to protect himself as well as the experts of his clan. No one sustained any injuries from the terrifying storm of energy, but the main entrance and walls of the clan were not as fortunate. All of them collapsed, throwing dust into the air. Even the board hanging above the main entrance fell down. The black-robed man advanced with a single step. He threw a punch at the board as it was falling, turning it into dust. More and more people gathered from within the clan. All the guards as well as many clansmen had come, all hiding behind Yu Zixing as they stared in shock at the collapsed walls and entrance. The disturbance at the clan alerted nearby people as well. Very soon, many people gathered from all directions to watch what was happening. There were even a few Heaven Saint Masters hanging several hundred meters in the air as they watched from afar. Yu Zixing's complexion became extremely horrible. He growled, "I am Yu Zixing. My master is Imperial Protector Mo Jian. Senior, may I ask if my clan has offended you in any way? Please enlighten me." The man finally looked at Yu Zixing. With an icy, emotionless gaze, he said, "Do you know who I am?" Yu Zixing observed the man carefully, and a sliver of doubt appeared in his eyes. He said, "Junior is very limited in his knowledge, so I hope Senior can forgive me." Yu Zixing dared not be impolite. He could already tell that the person before him was someone on the level of his master from presence alone. It would be extremely difficult to protect his life even with his master if he offended someone at a level like that. "My name is Bai Dao," the black-robed man said emotionlessly. Yu Zixing immediately jolted all over when he heard the name. He became shocked as he cried out, "What? Your surname is Bai? Are you a person of the Bai family?" Yu Zixing's heart began to churn as great fear began to pervade his insides. The manor of his Bloodcloud clan was constructed where the Bai family originally belonged. 50 years ago, the news of how the Bai family had been wiped out in a single night shook up the entire city. Now, not only did the Bloodcloud clan replace the Bai family as the #1 clan, they even took the Bai family's territory. If a member of the Bai family with terrifying strength accidentally connected the Bloodcloud clan to the destruction of his family, Yu Zixing could not imagine the possible consequences his clan would face. Chapter 1074, Bai Dao's Revenge. Bai Dao's right eye looked rather demonic, as if a will-o-wisp was leaping about inside. He then took a step forward and arrived before Yu Zixing in an instant. He placed the heaven-quaking sword on the shoulder of Yu Zixing. With its tremendous pressure, he said, "Speak, who was responsible for wiping out my Bai family all those years ago?" I don't know. Senior, I really don't know. It has nothing to do with my Bloodcloud clan." Yu Zixing was utterly terrified. The pressure from the king armament seemed to invade his soul, and he could not even think of resisting in that moment. He was a saint ruler, but only someone who had reached that level recently. He still belonged to the first heavenly layer. A dense killing intent flashed through Bai Dao's eyes. "Then is there still any use to leave you around if you don't know?" With that, Bai Dao swung the heaven-quaking sword before Yu Zixing could explain, beheading him. At the same time, a great energy shot out from the sword and into Yu Zixing's head, wiping out his soul. A talented saint ruler died just like this. The light in Bai Dao's right eye danced about crazily. "God damn it, you brat, why did you kill him? Didn't you hear that his master was an imperial protector of the Karl Empire? Why, you drive me insane. You're just causing problems for me." Venerable Poison Sword's enraged voice immediately rang through Bai Dao's head with the death of Yu Zixing. Bai Dao's face remained the same, completely ignoring the Venerable Poison Sword's cries. He slowly swept his gaze over the manor of the Bloodcloud clan, and he murmured, "This place belongs to the Bai family. It will always belong to the Bai family. No one can take this sacred piece of land away. I'll kill whoever does. Bai Dao spoke very softly, but it was filled with killing intent. Every member of the Blood Cloud clan heard what he said clearly. He then gazed past the people of the Blood Cloud clan and continued, "Who is the one responsible for the Bai family back then? Speak and I will spare you." Everyone was pale-faced. Their legs trembled since they were utterly frightened. No one dared to say anything. Yu Zixing was a saint ruler, yet he was slain without even being able to fight back. That affected them all greatly. Killing intent surged within Bai Dao's eyes. He murmured, "Since you don't know, you can all go die." Bai Dao slowly raised the heaven-quaking sword, before swinging it down with lightning speed. Boom! With a great sound from the center of Hellfire City, the greatest clan in the city was wiped out in an instant. No one was left alive, suffering a fate similar to the Bai family all those years ago. The luxurious manor was reduced to ruins. The destruction of the Blood Cloud clan shook the entire city very soon, astounding everyone. Countless people went to see exactly what was happening. Bai Dao stood in the ruins of the clan with his arms crossed as he zoned out at the floor. His eyes were dull and filled with reminiscence, as if he was trying as hard as he could to think back to all the times from before. The king armament was stabbed into a tough piece of rock by his side. It radiated with a great pressure, causing everyone in the surroundings to shiver in fear. No one dared to approach him, watching on from afar as sounds of discussions constantly rang out. A huge stone pillar stood behind Bai Dao, and on it was carved some large forceful words, "A descendant of the Bai family has returned with the beast fur. Come get it." A powerful clan that was equivalent to hermit clans had just been wiped out in an instant. It may not have been much on the continent where conflict never ended, but it caused a huge uproar in Hellfire City. A group of guards immediately hurried from the city lord's manor to where the clan was after they heard the news. However, they hid in the crowd as they watched from afar, unwilling to reveal their presences. They felt extremely frightened when they saw how the clan had been reduced to rubble. All the other large clans in the city arrived where there had been Blood Cloud clan as well. Without a single exception, all of them hid in the distance, fearfully staring at the black figure in the ruins. To all of them, the black figure seemed like a demon from hell. Bai Dao was that terrifying. The huge pillar in the ruins became the center of attention as well. When they saw the words carved on it, many people immediately guessed Bai Dao's identity. He was actually a member of the Bai family that had been wiped out 50 years ago. An old man in dragon robes and a crown sat in the study of the imperial palace in the Karl Empire as he read in interest. There was only him in the quiet study, but powerful presences erupted from the corners of the room from time to time. The old man was the emperor of the Karl Empire. He was not very powerful, but he possessed great authority. The way the Karl Empire was controlled differed from how the Holy Empire was controlled. On the surface, the Holy Empire seemed to be controlled by the imperial family, but true control was actually in the hands of the three great clans. The imperial family was just a puppet to the three clans. Even the position as emperor would be switched between members of the three clans. The Karl Empire, on the other hand, completely fell to the control of the imperial family. It was the same as the Felicity Empire. At this moment, the space around the emperor rippled slightly and a man shrouded in a black cloak silently appeared. He passed on a letter in his hands politely and said, "Your Majesty, this is an urgent letter from Hellfire City." The emperor looked up before slowly putting down the book in his hand. He took the urgent letter and began to read it. A while later, he furrowed his brows. The Blood Cloud clan of Hellfire City has actually been wiped out, and even Yu Zixing is dead. Yu Zixing reached Saint Ruler in 500 years and was highly likely of becoming a Saint King. Sigh, it really is a pity for such a genius to die before he could fully mature. The emperor folded up the letter and then passed it back to the cloaked man. He said, "Go, take this letter to Imperial Protector Mo Jian." "Yes, sir." The cloaked man politely replied, before disappearing with the letter. In the depths of the imperial palace, a white-robed, wrinkly, old man sat on a cushion with his eyes closed. He seemed extremely ordinary and possessed no eye-catching characteristics, other than the fact that his robes seemed to be rather expensive. "Sir Imperial Protector, Enshrouded One has come under orders from the Emperor to deliver this letter." Suddenly, a polite and somewhat emotionless voice rang out from outside. "Come in." The old man called out without even opening his eyes. The door opened and the cloaked man entered with his head lowered. He walked in softly from outside and courageously passed the letter to the old man. The old man slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were profound, like the vast night sky. He slowly raised his hand to accept the letter and began reading it. The next moment, his face abruptly changed. His nonchalant gaze turned into a glare in an instant. 2 streaks of light actually shot out of his eyes like blades. He was extremely terrifying, causing the space before him to tremble slightly. "You Zixing's actually been slain in Hellfire City. How dare they, how dare they? Who dares to do something like this? To even kill a disciple of mine, of Mo Jian." The old man became enraged and suddenly stood up from the cushion. The letter in his hand had turned to dust. "Humph, I'd like to see just exactly who it is who dares to be so reckless and completely disregard any respect for me within the Karl Empire." The old man was completely pale. With a swing of his arm, a crack immediately formed in the space beside him, warping into a space gate. Taking a step, he vanished. Bai Dao stood in the ruins of the Bloodcloud clan like a sculpture. He did not move even after a very long time, while more and more people gathered in the surroundings, maintaining a distance of 1,000 meters from him. All of them pointed at the ruins of the clan and actively discussed the event. The Bai family of Hellfire City from 50 years ago, which had almost forgotten by people, slowly returned to all their memories as well. A descendant of the Bai family has returned with the beast fur. Come get it, maybe the destruction of the Bai family had something to do with this beast fur? For the descendant of the Bai family to return in such a brazen fashion, he probably wants to lure out the culprit who devastated his family all those years ago and then take revenge. But just what level of strength does this descendant possess? Even Yu Zixing, a saint ruler, wasn't his opponent. This is just too frightening. Discussions constantly rose from the crowd. Though, the words carved into the pillar behind Bai Dao had answered many of their questions. Suddenly, a colorful space gate appeared in the air about the ruins. Before the person who had created the space gate even emerged, a vast presence blanketed the surroundings, stretching out in a bold manner. It actually enveloped the entire city. Everyone in Hellfire City stopped what they were doing at that moment. They stared at the sky in shock. Many of them could not see the space gate high up in the air, but they could feel where the presence was coming from. Bai Dao finally began to faintly move in the ruins of the Bloodcloud clan. He slowly raised his head and glared at the space gate in the air. His expression did not change. However, Bai Dao's right eye flashed vigorously. Venerable Poison's word exasperated voice rang out in his head, "A 5th heavenly layer Saint King. It's a 5th heavenly layer Saint King. Bai Dao, you brat. You've actually provoked a 5th heavenly layer Saint King. God damn it, if you don't want to live anymore, at least don't drag me to my death as well. Experts like these may have been nothing to me when I was at my peak, but my current condition. Sigh, you sure have made it disastrous for me now." Chapter 1075, The Saint King Mo Jian. 2 different kinds of light flickered in Bai Hai's eyes. He seemed to completely ignore Venerable Poisonsword's anger and stared at the space gate in the air emotionlessly. His eye that remained normal revealed some sternness. The heaven-quaking sword erupted from the rock it had been stabbed into. It became coated in a thick layer of energy, shattering the rock. OT then flew into Bai Dao's hand as if it possessed a spirit. After blanketing the surroundings with a violent presence, a white-robed, wrinkly old man slowly emerged from the space gate. Immediately, an indomitable might began to radiate from him, deeply shocking everyone in the city. It was like the descent of a supreme lord. The old man looked down at everyone like a king lording over his citizens. His face was prideful and cold while his eyes shined with interest. He stared closely at Bai Dao, who stood in the ruins, and growled, "Was it you who killed my disciple?" Bai Dao did not fear him. He stared at the old man and emotionlessly asked, "You must be Yu Zixing's master, the imperial protector of the Karl Empire, Mo Jian." "Correct, that is me." Mo Jian coldly replied. Bai Dao's gaze remained icy. "The land beneath me belongs to my Bai family. No one can take it. I'll kill whoever tries." Mo Jian furrowed his brows slightly with that. He seemed to stare at Bai Dao in disbelief. "You're a member of the Bai family?" The Bai family was a great clan that possessed a saint ruler in the past, so even Mo Jian had heard about the clan before. What he did not understand was, when did an expert like this appear in the Bai family? "Correct." Bai Dao's face remained the same as before. Mo Jian's face grew colder. "Since you're a member of the Bai family, you're also someone of the Karl Empire. In other words, you're no outsider. However, you killed me disciple, so you have to give me an explanation for this." "If you want an explanation, I'll give you one," growled Bai Dao. A vast battle intent immediately erupted from him, surging into the sky. It caused the wind and clouds to churn. The heaven-quaking sword in his hand also erupted with a shocking sword chi. "Bai Dao, my strength is far from my peak right now. I can't let you waste it like this. Don't resist, I'll take over your body. This battle needs to be completed as soon as possible, or both of us will end up dead once all of my energy is expended." The venerable elder's voice rang in Bai Dao's head. Bai Dao said nothing and slowly lowered his head. At that moment, no one realized that the light in Bai Dao's left eye quickly vanished, becoming lifeless in the blink of an eye. Afterward, an odd light suddenly appeared in that left eye, flashing about. It was filled with an evil feeling. Now, both of Bai Dao's eyes had become demonic, as if two will-o-wisps were dancing around inside. Unexpectedly, Bai Dao rose from the ground, shooting into the sky like a rocket. The heaven-quaking sword in his hand also erupted with a bright green light. It was a potent poison. Not only was Venerable Poison's word powerful, he was someone who frequently used poison. His poison was no less potent than Nubi's venom. Mo Jian could not help but furrow his brows when he saw how resolutely Bai Dao behaved, ready to give it all into the battle. Although Yu Zixing was his disciple in name, their relationship as master and disciple did not exist at all. Mo Jian indeed was greatly angered when he heard about Yu Zixing's death, but that was mainly over the disrespect rather than the actual death. After all, his disciple had been killed in the territory of the Karl Empire. That was a provocation and insult in his eyes. Mo Jian originally thought that the person who killed Yu Zixing was a saint ruler, which is why he hurried over angrily. However, once he arrived above the city and discovered that the murderer was a saint king just like him, many of his thoughts of revenge disappeared. He could not offend a saint king over someone who did not even treat him as a master, especially due to the fact that the saint king was also a member of the Karl Empire and had only come to destroy the Blood Cloud clan. As a result, Mo Jian lost interest in pursuing this matter. Asking for an explanation from Bai Dao was just a way for him to set up a way out of the situation. He had never thought that not only would Bai Dao refuse to cooperate, he would even come at him threateningly, throwing him into a temporary dilemma. Heaven-quaking sword. Cloud piercer. Bai Dao had already struck out before Mo Jian could prepare himself. With a loud bellow, poisonous gas immediately surged out of the sword in his hands. The deep green light completely shrouded the sword, which was thrust out with a vast energy. The sword disappeared the moment it was thrust forward. It arrived before Mo Jian in an odd manner within the next moment, and the potent poison fused perfectly with the terrifying energy. It stabbed toward Mo Jian mercilessly. Mo Jian immediately turned solemn. He could clearly feel just how powerful this strike was, shocking him greatly. Only until that point did he suddenly realize that Bai Dao's presence alternated between strong and weak, but it was no weaker than himself. He could even feel mysteries of the world beyond the fifth heavenly layer of Saint King in the strike, which utterly astounded him. Without any hesitation, Mo Jian drew his saint weapon as fast as he could. His weapon was a huge one-handed sword that was the width of a palm, and as soon as it appeared, the vast quantities of energy within him surged into the sword. He stabbed out with all his might, making it collide with the heaven-quaking sword. Boom! With a deafening sound, the two terrifying energies wildly smashed into each other. They immediately caused the surrounding space to rupture, forming a black hole over 30 meters across. The surroundings violently shook. After the clash, the heaven-quaking sword turned around and returned to Bai Dao's hand. Mo Jian's body, on the other hand, shook violently, and his complexion immediately became rather ugly. He was not injured after blocking Bai Dao's attack, but he fell into a disadvantageous position. The potent poisonous gas also entered his body. He had rarely ever come across a poisonous gas like this, and it was extremely powerful. It forced him to use 50% of his power to suppress it. Bai Dao floated emotionlessly in the air with his sword as the light in his eyes constantly flickered. He coldly said, "Is this enough of an explanation? If it's not enough, I can provide you with an even more satisfying one." Mo Jian stared at Bai Dao in shock. He paid close attention to Bai Dao's eyes. He could feel that the person before him was rather strange just from his instincts, but he could not tell exactly where this strangeness came from. Mo Jian inhaled deeply and slowly calmed himself down. After a moment of peace, he could not help but swallow his pride. "Sir is also a member of the Karl Empire. It truly is worthy of celebration for another great expert to appear in my empire. My failure of a disciple was looking for it himself for taking up your clan's territory. He deserved much more than death." Mo Jian gave in. In the clash earlier, he knew that he was definitely not Bai Dao's opponent. Gaining such a powerful enemy over someone who did not even act like a disciple was not a smart choice. Mo Jian paused slightly before continuing, "Your strength is extraordinary, and you are also a member of the Karl Empire. If you are willing, you are welcome to take up the position as Imperial Protector at any time." With that, Mo Jian stuck around no longer and flew away. "Wait, just who wiped out the Bai clan back then?" Bai Dao coldly asked. Mo Jian froze and glanced at the huge pillar in the ruins. He said, "I spent most of my time in seclusion within the palace, so it has already been several hundred years since I last meddled with worldly affairs. If you want to find your enemy, you are welcome to come find the emperor in the palace. I believe His Majesty will be very willing to assist you." Mo Jian left hurriedly through a space gate. Bai Dao also descended from the sky, returning to the ruins. The flickering light in his eyes also slowly calmed down, until all that was left was a sharp gaze. "Brat, stay a little more composed for me in the future. Just that exhausted 20% of my power. If it weren't for my foresight to use supreme strength to deter that person right from the get-go, we'd probably still be fighting right now. If we get stuck in a battle of endurance, we would lose for sure." Venerable Poison Sword's angry voice rang through Bai Dao's head. Bai Dao did not respond. He focused his attention on his dantian. In there was a thumb-sized pearl that floated quietly. It was completely composed of energy, extremely terrifying energy. The pearl was the Venerable's power. It had been sealed through a special method, and the Venerable could use it at his will while Bai Dao could only use a tiny portion of it. Once all the power was exhausted, it would be extremely difficult to recover. The power sealed within was indeed 20% less than before. Bai Dao did not go to the imperial palace of the Karl Empire. He waited there silently in the ruins. He had a feeling that those people would definitely come. In the blink of an eye, night had already descended, blotting the entire world with darkness. In an extremely desolate region of the continent, a huge, jet-black divine hall silently stood in a mountain range. It radiated with a chilling aura. It seemed like a place where demons lived, enough to make people shiver in fear. Reporting to the Yama, a descendant of the Bai family has appeared in Hellfire City of the Karl Empire. He has carved the fact that he had returned with the beast fur into a stone pillar. What should we do, Yama? A vague, evil-sounding voice sounded in the dark palace. What? A person of the Bai family has returned to Hellfire City with the beast fur? Is that true? A husky voice rang out from the pitch-black hall. It sounded like the shrieks of ghosts. It is completely true. However, he seems to be very powerful. He fought off an imperial protector of the empire without suffering defeat. A member of the Bai family has returned to Hellfire City with the beast fur. Looks like he knows the destruction of his clan 50 years ago was caused by the beast fur. However, we have to obtain the beast fur now that it has appeared once again. It doesn't matter just how powerful that person is. He can't stop as. Send the orders to summon the 10 Protector Kings to accompany me to Hellfire City. Chapter 1076, Trapped in the Yama Hall, 1. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed since the Bloodcloud clan had been wiped out in Hellfire City. During those 7 days, news regarding the event swept through Karl Empire like a storm. Since the person who had wiped them out in less than 10 minutes was a member of the Bai family, that news became the biggest drawing point. Afterward, various rumors appeared regarding the descendant of the Bai family as well as the destruction of the Bai family 50 years ago. They crazily spread across the Karl Empire. The imperial family of the Karl Empire did not respond in regards to how the Bloodcloud family was wiped out. Ever since their imperial protector Mo Jian had come back several days ago, they did nothing, indicating that they did not wish to interfere with Bai Dao's matters. After all, Bai Dao was also a member of the empire, and he was a saint king. He was an existence that the imperial family wished to pull over, so why would they take offense over the death of a saint ruler? During those 7 days, Bai Dao stood unmoving in the ruins of the Bloodcloud clan. He did not even take a single step from that place. The heaven-quaking sword remained stabbed into the ground beside him. Its luster was gone and it seemed extremely ordinary, but the pressure it possesses still existed. It slowly pervaded the surroundings, no longer making them seem so ordinary. A large crowd of people remained in the surroundings of the ruins, watching on from afar. During those few days, people had come and left. There were even a great group of people who had come from several thousand kilometers away just to see the awe of a saint king. Very soon, darkness descended on the earth once more. The bustling city gradually began to quieten down, and the people in the surroundings all slowly dispersed. Only Bai Dao remained where he was, disregarding any fatigue. Bai Dao could not help but think of everything that had once happened right now. Countless faces of the Bai family flashed through his head one by one, and his cold gaze gained some gentleness. So many years have passed. I wonder how Xiangtian is right now. He's the only descendant left of my Bai family. I hope he can survive. Sister, once I take revenge for the destruction of the clan, I'll go hunt down the people who murdered you. Even if I have to search to the ends of the earth, I will find them and use their blood to hold a ceremony to remember you. Sister, rest well. Your brother won't let you die for nothing. Bai Dao was filled with deep sorrow. When the Bai family had been wiped out all those years ago, only he and his sister survived. Now that Bai Yuntian was dead, all that was left in the family was him. Suddenly, loneliness began to pour out of Bai Dao's heart. He felt so lonely at the moment, as if he was the only one left from the glorious Bai family all those years ago. He had always remained in the soul-claiming mountains in recent years, having only left a few days ago. He had not learned about the major events occurring across the Tianyuan continent. He still had no idea that his sister had been revived by Jian Chen, while his nephew was no longer a mere saint ruler, now a great saint king. Suddenly, a cold breeze gently blew past him. The surrounding sound seemed to vanish in that instant, and the city seemed to become a haunted place of deathly silence. Bai Dao's head immediately cleaned up, and he dismissed his random thoughts. He slowly raised his head and looked around emotionlessly. 10 figures had appeared in the surroundings silently at some time. They seemed to have fused with the darkness. Although they stood there out in the open, it was extremely easy for people to miss them, making it very difficult to sense them. The 10 figures stood there silently like that. No one said anything, nor did any presences leak out, causing the atmosphere to become rather odd. Burning killing intent immediately appeared in Bai Dao's eyes when he looked at the 10 people surrounding him. He could clearly remember that when the Bai family was devastated several dozen years ago, it was done by a group of people in similar attire. You've finally come. I've waited here for you for several days already. Bai Dao's voice was extremely icy as killing intent radiated from him without restraint. He slowly drew the heaven-quaking sword from the ground, adding a vast pressure to his killing intent. The 10 people said nothing, but some greed appeared in their cold gazes once they all laid their eyes on the sword in Bai Dao's hand. Speak, who are you? What organization do you belong to? Bai Dao continued after not hearing the people respond. The 10 people stood there silently, as if they were a part of the darkness. No one replied to Bai Dao's questions. No wonder we couldn't find any beast fur when we wiped out the Bai family back then, so it's actually been taken away when a survivor of the family fled. At this moment, a husky voice rang out from nowhere. It was impossible to discern its origins. One of Bai Dao's eyes began to violently flicker. He stared fixedly at the space before him. A black figure gradually appeared in the empty darkness. It seemed so odd. Just who are you? Bai Dao stared at the figure. Just from instinct, he could tell that the person before him was the leader of the rest. Survivor of the Bai family, hand over the beast fur if you want to know who I am, sneered the black figure. Killing intent surged in Bai Dao's eyes. He coldly said, if you want the beast fur, then take it from me, but you might not have the abilities with just the 11 of you. With that, the heaven-quaking sword in Bai Dao's hand began to shine with dazzling green light. The potent poison fused perfectly with the terrifying energy erupting from the sword. Swish! Bai Dao stabbed out with the sword, directly targeting the head of the leading figure. You really are a saint king, the black-clothed man involuntarily called out with his hoarse voice. His gaze immediately became stern, and with a flip of his hand, an exquisite black dagger appeared. It was only palm-sized, but it emitted a dense black glow. A cold light could vaguely be seen flickering on it through the dark glow. Kiss of the venomous scorpion. The figure called out and the dagger immediately shot out as a blur. With a violent boom, the dagger collided with the heaven-quaking sword. The sound erupted in the desolate night, alarming the entire city. Countless people woke up from their sleep and lit candles, flooding the city with light in just a few seconds. Bai Dao and the man were evenly matched in the clash. Survivor of the Bai family, you really are very strong, but you can't keep the beast fur. Why don't you hand it over obediently, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, today next year will be when people visit your grave, sneered the man. Bai Dao said nothing. He wielded the heaven-quaking sword in his right hand while the venerable elder's voice rang out in his head, Brat, you won't be able to beat him even if you use up all of my energy. Let me deal with him. The light in Bai Dao's eyes became odd once more. He relinquished control over his body, handing it over to the venerable poison's word once again. As soon as the venerable took over, an indescribably vast presence immediately began to radiate from him. He seemed to fuse with the surroundings, as if he had turned into the world in that moment. Even a mere Saint King of the fourth heavenly layer dares to be so arrogant? Die! Venerable Poison's words sneered in disdain after gaining control. He slowly raised the heaven-quaking sword and stabbed out. Not only did the strike contain a great energy and potent poison, it possessed the profound mysteries of the world. Not only did a strike from Venerable Poison's word contain much more energy than the one from Bai Dao, its might was multiplied several times over. Phantom's flurry. The man's gaze became even sterner. Crying out, the dagger in his hand began to wildly dance about, forming a string of afterimages that filled the space before him. All of the afterimages forcefully shot out. However, the afterimages that struck the heaven-quaking sword all vanished with a bang. The sword seemed like an invincible sword, advancing like a hot knife through butter. It arrived before the man in an instant and impaled his chest. The man roared out and immediately shot back. He separated from the sword and bellowed out, "Slaughter of the 10 kings." The gazes of the 10 darkly clothed men in the surroundings all changed. Vast presences erupted from every single one of them, and they knit together in the middle of the air to form an even greater presence. Afterward, the 10 of them drew their saint weapons at the same time, sending a powerful sword chi into the air simultaneously. The 10 darkness-attributed sword chis weaved together in the air and rapidly formed the face of a demon. It charged toward Bai Dao, who was below. Bai Dao could not help but sneer in even more disdain. He mocked, "An attack through a secret from the fusion of 10 ninth heavenly layer saint rulers is only as powerful as a saint king of the second heavenly layer. Is this all you have?" As he said that, he casually stabbed at the sky and a powerful sword chi shot out, destroying the demon face. "Let's go." The man with the dagger did not stick around. Shouting out, he immediately turned into a black figure, shooting off into the distance. The 10 ninth heavenly layer saint rulers did not hesitate either, silently fleeing into the distance. "Where do you think you're going?" "Stay right here." Bai Dao regained control of his body and pursued them with bloodshot eyes. He had found the people who had wiped out the Bai family all those years ago after great effort, so how could he let them escape so easily? Chapter 1077, Trapped in the Yama Hall, 2, Bai Dao chased the 11 black-clothed men, leaving Hellfire City very quickly. Although they had only clashed twice in the city, the disturbance was undoubtedly great. Everyone in the city was alerted. There were even quite a few Heaven Saint Masters who quickly flew over to where the Bloodcloud clan had been, wishing to witness a battle between experts to assist them with their future cultivation. However, they were fated to see nothing. When they arrived at the ruins of the Bloodcloud clan, no one was present. Even the descendant of the Bai clan who had always remained there was gone. For some time, the fighting that rang through the city along with the disappearance of the Bai family descendant sent clouds of suspicion into the minds of the citizens of the city. The occurrences also lead to the proliferation of various rumors. The descendant of the Bai family killed Imperial Protector Mo Jian's disciple. The Imperial Protector has gathered his friends to capture him. The descendant of the Bai family has aggravated a great expert by wiping out the Bloodcloud clan and has been taken away. It's probably because the Bai family descendant has gained the attention of some expert of the continent through the beast fur, leading to another intense conflict. He cannot win, so he has already fled. I think it's extremely likely that the people who wiped out the Bai family all those years ago have appeared again. After fighting, they realized they weren't his enemy, so they fled. The descendant pursed them. The descendant of the Bai family is so strong that even Imperial Protector Mo Jian could do nothing to him. I don't think there's anyone on the continent who would want to provoke him. I think it's because his enemies have appeared. Various rumors filled every inch of the city. The matter had already gained the attention of everyone in the city, but no one knew the truth. All they could do was guess. Outside Hellfire City, Bai Dao pursued the 11 people in a threatening manner as wild gusts of wind blew past him. He was so fast that he seemed to have become a faint blur. Before him, the 10 ninth heavenly layer saint rulers seemed to have fused together. They used a special secret technique to merge all their powers, maintaining a distance from Bai Dao throughout the pursuit. Every time Bai Dao was about to catch up to them, their speed would skyrocket and widen the distance between them in an instant. Very soon, Bai Dao had already pursued them at full speed for one whole day and night. They moved extremely quickly, traversing several 100,000 kilometers in just a day. Brat, this doesn't look right. They seem to be intentionally drawing you in with how they're acting. Be a little careful. Venerable Poison Sword's voice rang out in Bai Dao's head. Don't worry, I'm not an idiot. I know exactly what I should be doing, Bai Dao coldly replied. Now that his enemies were right before him, his killing intent boiled inside. He knew that he could finally return the debt of blood from 50 years ago. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Bai Dao had already traveled more than 1,000,000 kilometers as he pursued the group of people. It was late, and thick clouds blanketed the sky, completely obscuring the light of the moon. Thus, the night was extremely dark, so dark that vision was severely limited. After chasing them for 4 days, Bai Dao continued to tail them with no intention of giving up. His gaze was extremely determined as he thought, the people who devastated my Bai family are much stronger than I had imagined. They actually have a Saint King and 10 ninth heavenly layer saint rulers. If I want to take revenge, I need to borrow Venerable Poison Sword's power. It'll be impossible otherwise with my talent. Humph, the Venerable Elder's soul shares my body. I do know that you are rapidly growing accustomed to my body, and once you have completely adapted, you'll probably forcefully take over my body and devour my soul. At that time, it doesn't matter if I've successfully taken revenge. The outcome will all be the same, so why shouldn't I use everything I have? It's not like my life belongs to me anymore. Bai Dao continued to chase down the 11 people without any fear with a mindset like that. Nothing could stop his advance, not even immense danger, because he knew that it would be the Venerable Elder's problem if he came across great dangers, not his own. Right now, all Bai Dao thought about was revenge. The 11 people entered a desolate mountain range with Bai Dao. They quickly made their way through the dark mountains, before fleeing into a pitch-black palace. Bai Dao saw the giant palace, but he did not hesitate at all. He continued into the palace without slowing down at all. Brat, stop. Don't go in there, it's a trap. The Venerable Elder's panic-stricken voice rang out in Bai Dao's head. The light in Bai Dao's eyes also fluctuated in brightness as the Venerable Elder attempted to forcefully take control. Venerable Poison's word, the strongest of my enemies is only at the 4th heavenly layer of Saint King. They pose no threat to you, and this is their lair. I will completely flip the lair upside down and turn it into a river of blood and corpses, Bai Dao roared out inside. His flickering eyes quickly stabilized, replaced by a cold determination. The body belonged to Bai Dao after all. Bai Dao successfully suppressed Venerable Poison Sword's attempt to steal his body. Bastard! Bai Dao, you brat, don't be carried away by your hatred. Return to your senses. Stop, it's a trap inside. Don't go in. If you want to die, just don't drag me to my death as well. The Venerable Elder was utterly exasperated as he roared out. Bai Dao completely ignored what he said, entering the palace in the form of a black blur. As soon as he made his way in, the main entrance immediately slammed shut. It was pitch black inside, where nothing could be seen. Suddenly, a scorching presence surged in. The temperature of the palace began to skyrocket and black flames appeared on the ground. It formed an odd formation, trapping Bai Dao. God damn it! This is a formation, brat. You've been trapped in the formation. The Venerable swore angrily as his hatred for Bai Dao seeped into his bones. Ha 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 ha. Survivor of the Bai family, welcome to the Yama Hall of the three great assassination organizations of the continent. You are our first guest in the past 1,000 years, so please enjoy the scenery of our hall. A horrible voice appeared out of nowhere. It sounded like the sobs of a ghost, while its laughter seemed extremely sinister. God damn it, it's actually the Yama Hall of the three famed assassination organizations of the continent. I've been trapped by them. By Dao, you brat, you sure have brought disaster to me. The venerable elder wailed powerlessly. If he was at his peak, he could try adventuring into the Yama Hall, but he was nowhere as powerful as he had been before in his current form as a soul. There was almost no hope for him to escape after being trapped here. So what about the Yama Hall? Venerable Poison's word, you were a person who once stood at the apex of the continent. You didn't even fear the 10 protector clans, so how can a mere assassination organization stop you? I'll let you take control of my body and take revenge for me, Bai Dao said to the venerable elder. He could not help but think of his sister, and he sighed inside, Sister, I'm useless. I might not be able to take revenge for you. Brat, is there still any use if you let me gain control of your body? The Yama Hall is infamous. It has stood on the continent for over 100,000 years, so how can they be easily dealt with? Especially with how you intentionally entered their lair. Why, you drive me crazy, Venerable Poison's word swore as he took control of Bai Dao's body. Wielding the heaven-quaking sword in his right hand, he sternly stared at the surging black flames surrounding him. Heaven-quaking sword, heaven cleaver. Suddenly, he roared out and the sword immediately erupted with surging energy. With the sword raised up high, he stabbed at the ceiling of the palace. With a loud boom, the entire structure began to violently tremble. However, his devastating strike did nothing to the palace. Not even a crack had appeared. Ha, you still want to break out of this divine hall? I'd suggest you give up on that thought. This divine hall was created by a saint emperor, so unless you can deal a strike as powerful as a saint emperor, you can't break through it. The sinister laughter rang out from the dark room once more. What? It's a divine hall. Venerable Poison's word became ashen from the great shock. He lost all hope while his resentment for Bai Dao reached a limit. He was tempted to rip Bai Dao into pieces and eat him alive. A person wrapped in black robes sat on a throne in a hall at the very top of the structure. Below him sat 10 black-clothed people in 2 rows dressed in the exact same fashion as him. Yama, the survivor of the Bai family, has been trapped in the divine hall now. Should we kill him right now and take the beast fur from him? A person below asked. His voice was icy cold and completely emotionless. The person on the throne was the Saint King who fought against Bai Dao with a dagger in Hellfire City and was repelled by Venerable Poison's word. He was one of the people who held the greatest power in the Yama Hall. The 10 people below him were the 10 protector kings of the Yama Hall, only standing below the Yama in status. There's no need to hurry. The survivor of the Bai family is very strong. He's at least at the 6th heavenly layer, so even though I can kill him, it'll cost me quite a lot of effort. It's not worth it. Since he has been trapped in the divine hall, he can't escape. It's a pity that the primary control of the divine hall is still in the hands of the former Yama. I can only use a small part of the divine hall's power, so I can't activate all the formations of the divine hall. Otherwise, would there still be a need for me to personally kill him? Just the power of the divine hall would be enough. The former Yama's been heavily injured and has been in seclusion for 1,000 years already. I think he should have roughly recovered after 1,000 years, so let's wait for the former Yama to execute him. The Yama had no other choice. In the battle 1,000 years ago against the Blood Sword sect, their organization was heavily damaged. They lost many experts and had yet to fully recover even now. Although they could kill Bai Dao right now, it would exhaust many experts, which was something they did not want to risk. All they could do was leave Bai Dao and the Venerable Poison's word alive, leaving them trapped within the divine hall. Chapter 1078, Breakthrough obstructed. The disturbances in Hellfire City subsided very quickly. However, ever since the battle from that night ended, the descendant of the Bai family never appeared again. A small, wooden hut stood alone on the tallest mountain of a mountain range over 10,000 kilometers away from the City of God. Even though it was buffeted by the cold wind all year round, it seemed to be deeply rooted to the ground. It stood there securely, without even swaying a little. The layout of the hut was extremely simple to the point where it was hard to believe that it was inhabited. Other than a wooden bed, a table, and a chair, there was nothing else. Everyone inside, however, was spotlessly clean. On the bed lay a middle-aged beauty in a dark green dress. She was elegant and her face radiated with a certain righteousness. She possessed a striking appearance, and even though she was already middle-aged, she possessed supreme beauty. A single glance would be enough to discern that she was an enchanting woman in the past. Beside the bed sat a white-robed, middle-aged man. His face was filled with sorrow and pain, and he seemed rather haggard. He gently held the woman's white hand. "Kaiyun, you've slept for 1 whole year. I know that you only sealed yourself off from your aching heart and that you don't want to wake up ever again. Kaiyun, it's me who can't make it up to you. It's me who has no right to see you. The one who should have suffered punishment like this should have been me, not you. Kaiyun, why are you so silly? Kaiyun, can you hear me? Don't be so stubborn. Don't be like this, alright? Wake up. Do you know that I feel horrible when I see you like this?" Such agony. Hao Wu sat beside Czar Kaiyun, gently murmuring to himself as he held her hand. His face revealed the pain he felt. Ever since he had brought Czar Kaiyun away from the City of God, she had always remained unconscious. "Kaiyun, maybe Mu'er can wake you up." "Do I have to go find Mu'er?" Hao Wu murmured as bitterness filled him. He knew extremely well that Mu'er really hated both him and Czar Kaiyun. It would be virtually impossible to get her to awaken Czar Kaiyun with her zither music. And if he really did try something like that, it would probably deepen the heavenly enchantress' hatred for him. What should I do? Just what should I do? Kaiyun, when are you going to wake up? In the blink of an eye, another 2 years passed. It had been 3 whole years since Jian Chen had arrived in Mercenary City. Jian Chen sat like a sculpture in the room Xiaoling forged from energy deep below Mercenary City. He did not move at all, not even energy rippled from his body. In the silent and ice-cold room, the space there seemed to pulse like a beating heart. A profound aura filled the surroundings, possessing the indescribable truths of the world. Jian Chen sat there just like that, borrowing the mysteries of the world invoked by Xiaoling to comprehend the truths of the world, as well as the laws of the world. After 3 years of hard work, the rate he improved at could not be described with words. He advanced from the 7th heavenly layer to the 9th heavenly layer in terms of comprehension during those 3 years and had stagnated at the 9th heavenly layer for a whole year. He was at the peak right now, only an inch away from reaching the comprehension of a Saint King. Bai Hai and Huang Tianba remained at the 7th and 6th heavenly layers respectively from 2 years ago. Their talents were nowhere near as great as Jian Chen's, so even with Xiaoling's assistance, they failed to advance 1 minor cultivation level a year. However, the speed at which they comprehended the secrets meant it would require another 3 years before they could break through once more. The reason why they had broken through together in just 1 year before was because they had stagnated at that level for several years already. They had already reached the peak, which was why they could make a breakthrough so soon. The two of them were still ravished with joy even though they had just made 1 breakthrough in 3 years, as they would have to waste at least several decades or even over 100 years to break through when they comprehended the mysteries by themselves. With Xiaoling's assistance, the time required had been reduced several times over, perhaps even more than 10 times over. In 3 years, Huang Luan's strength increased quickly as well. She reached the fourth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, while only Chang Wuji and Yang Ling remained as Heaven Saint Masters. Chang Wuji's talent was ordinary. He had consumed heavenly resources before, but he was virtually at the end of his 1,000-year life. He seemed to have run out of momentum, so even with the assistance of the three beast furs, he failed to comprehend the mysteries of the world completely. He remained at the peak of Heaven Saint Master. On the other hand, Yang Ling had not broken through, but he still had a lot of time ahead of him. As a result, breaking through was only a matter of time for him. Suddenly, the mysteries of the world that filled Jian Chen's room began to pulse violently. The space around Jian Chen also seemed to react, trembling. The room began to distort. Jian Chen's figure also became blurrier and blurrier, until he disappeared in the distorting space. The sunny sky above Mercenary City immediately began to darken. A thick layer of clouds rapidly appeared, enveloping the entire city. The clouds shrouded the sunlight, obscuring the sky. They rapidly expanded, covering a radius of 100,000 kilometers. They threw Mercenary City into darkness in that instance. The sudden change in weather caused everyone in Mercenary City to stop what they were doing. At that moment, everyone raised their heads at the sky. All of them were filled with surprise and were curious, so they began discussing the changes all over the city. No one knew what was happening. The speed at which the clouds had gathered was unbelievable. It did not seem like a storm at all. Just as everyone discussed the sudden change in the clouds, a vast pressure suddenly appeared and pressed viciously down from space. It engulfed all of Mercenary City, and coupled with the pressure was the profound, incomprehensible mysteries of the world. Immediately, everyone felt like a boulder was pressing against their chests, making it difficult for them to breathe. Some weaker people even felt like they were suffocating. These are the mysteries of the world. Someone's broken through to Saint Ruler. No, I've personally witnessed the birth of a Saint Ruler before. The pressure was never this great, and the mysteries of the world that descended were not as strong. Has someone become a Saint King? The birth of a Saint Ruler is accompanied with 5-colored rainbow clouds. If it's a Saint King, there will be 7-colored rainbow clouds. Let's just wait to see the color of the clouds to know if it's a Saint Ruler or a Saint King. Look, everyone, colors have appeared. The rainbow clouds have appeared. Experts were plentiful in Mercenary City, so a few experienced ones could see through the odd phenomenon of the clouds with a single glance. They immediately called out as envy filled their eyes. Afterward, a dazzling multicolored light pierced through the darkness. It appeared in the thick layer of clouds and quickly became magnificent. It reached 7 colors in total very soon, dyeing all the clouds. It was enchanting. It's 7-colored. The clouds are 7-colored. A Saint Ruler's broken through to Saint King. Who has broken through? Is it an elder of Mercenary City? Looks like Mercenary City has gained another expert from today on. The crowd fell into a hubbub. Everyone was extremely excited. To personally witness the birth of a Saint King was something they could only experience through luck. There were just too few Saint Kings on the Tianyuan continent, and it would be difficult for a Saint King to appear even with several billions of people. The appearance of the 7-colored rainbow clouds alerted all the high-ranking members of Mercenary City. With Tianjian as their leader, a group appeared in the air as they stared at the clouds in the sky in amazement. Grand Elder, just who has broken through in our Mercenary City? Why do I sense nothing in regard to this? Is it because the person who broke through isn't in the city but elsewhere in Mercenary City just happens to lie in the radius of the rainbow clouds? An elder politely asked from behind Tianjian. Tianjian stared unblinkingly at the clouds in the sky as interest filled his face. He said, "The clouds are centered around Mercenary City. The person who has broken through is indeed in this city, but he has hidden himself very well. Even I cannot sense where he is." At this moment, an odd phenomenon suddenly appeared. The pressure that filled the surroundings rapidly weakened and in just a few seconds, it completely disappeared, as if it was never present. The rainbow clouds also began to dull, turning into nothing in a few seconds as well. A deep blue sky reappeared. Tianjian furrowed his brows slightly when he saw this change. Shock filled his eyes, and he called out, "What's happened? Why have the clouds disappeared?" When someone breaks through to Saint King, the clouds will remain for 7 whole days. But why have the clouds dispersed so quickly right after they had formed? This has never happened before. This is unheard of. There is no record of this whatsoever. An elder beside Tianjian cried out in astonishment. Tianjian pondered the occurrence as he stared at the sky. After a while, he seemed to understand something, and he sighed. He said in pity, "That person's failed his breakthrough." Failed? How is that possible? Once the rainbow clouds appear, they are destined to succeed. How can failure appear? This truly is unheard of. All the elders of Mercenary City were utterly confused by how the rainbow clouds had completely disappeared after appearing for less than 20 seconds. They all doubted what they saw. A few knowledgeable people also reached a similar conclusion with their deductions, and they all sighed in pity. At that moment, many people felt sympathetic for the person who had failed his breakthrough. It would truly be a great blow to the person breaking through, since that person was just about to become an expert that no one would dare to anger on the continent, yet that person failed in the final moments. Jian Chen snapped open his eyes deep under Mercenary City. He angrily stood up and yelled at the sword spirits in his sea of consciousness, "Ziying, Qingzhua, why have you come and made trouble? I almost would have become a Saint King, but I failed with what you did. Why are you stopping me from reaching Saint King?" Everything was extremely successful as Jian Chen made his breakthrough. Just as he was about to reach Saint King, he had never thought that the sword spirits would suddenly interfere at this crucial moment, denying Jian Chen of his chance to reach Saint King. Chapter 1079. The 5 major realms of the sword. Jian Chen stood up angrily as regret and pity filled his heart. Saint King, that was something he had longed for a very long time. Although reaching Saint King in terms of comprehension would not increase his strength, he could rip open space gates if he did. When that happened, the size of the world did not matter, nor did the distance between 2 places. It would all just be a step away for Jian Chen. He would no longer need to rely on Rui Jin and He Yu if he wanted to go to some distant place. Saint King was the level of cultivation Jian Chen had yearned for. He did not lack prowess in battle. He lacked cultivation. "Master, you can't continue your comprehension of the mysteries of the world because it'll only be detrimental to you," Qing Suo timidly explained as she sensed Jian Chen's anger. "Master, we stopped you from reaching Saint King for your own good. You can't reach Saint King." Ziying's voice also rang out in Jian Chen's head. It sounded extremely stubborn, as if he would obstruct Jian Chen no matter how angry Jian Chen became. Jian Chen calmed down very quickly with that. He suppressed his anger and growled, "Ziying, Qing Suo, just what is this about? Why can't I become a Saint King? Master, you must take the way of the sword as your cultivation path. The way of the sword conflicts with the mysteries of the world you currently comprehended. The two cannot exist together, or they'll affect your future cultivation greatly. Master, are you wondering why we did nothing to obstruct you when you went from the 7th heavenly layer to the 9th heavenly layer? Well, when your comprehension remains at the 9th heavenly layer, Qing Suo, and I still had the ability to forcefully purge your comprehension of the mysteries of the world, allowing Master to embark on the way of the sword with no distractions in the future, but if Master reaches Saint King in terms of comprehension, it will be extremely difficult for Qing Suo and I to purge your comprehension. This is why you cannot reach Saint King." "What? You even have to purge my comprehension later?" Jian Chen was astounded. "In other words, I will lose all my comprehension of the mysteries of the world, including the Saint Ruler abilities I currently possess?" "Correct, but don't worry too much, Master. Once you embark on the way of the sword, you will discover that it is much more powerful than the mysteries of the world you are currently comprehending, said Ziying. Master, the way of the sword is publicly acknowledged as one of the most powerful pathways of cultivation. Before the way of the sword, the mysteries of the world are nothing. Unless the disparity in cultivation is vast, the way of the sword is invincible, said Qing Suo. Ziying, Qing Suo, is the way of the sword really as powerful as you've described it to be? If I do embark on the way of the sword, just what level of strength will I obtain? Jian Chen was rather moved. He was a swordsman after all, so he had a special connection to the sword. The temptation he felt for the way of the sword just mentioned by Ziying and Qing Suo had reached a level that could even make him risk his life. Master, there are 5 major realms of cultivation for the way of the sword. They are Sword Origin, Sword Spirit, Sword Immortal, Sword Sage, and Sword God. These 5 realms do not represent certain levels of cultivation, they are like the Saint tier, Heaven tier, Earth tier and Human tier battle skills on the Tianyuan continent. They represent great battle prowess and supreme offensive power. However, the way of the sword is far, far greater than those battle skills on the Tianyuan continent. The disparity is basically a huge chasm. Even the weakest sword origin far exceeds Saint tier battle skills by several times over. And once you reach the sword origin realm, every time you attack, every strike you make will far exceed the strength of Saint tier battle skills. At the same time, they are unlike the Saint tier battle skills which consume vast amounts of energy when they are used and cannot be used consecutively even by Saint Kings, explained Ziying. He paused slightly, pondering a little before continuing. The way of the sword is extremely suitable for Master. If Master embarks on this path of cultivation, you will possess a supreme advantage over others. If Master reaches the sword origin realm, Master will probably be no weaker than Saint Kings of the 9th heavenly layer, while Master will have no need to fear even Saint Emperors if you reach the sword spirit realm. Also, the battle prowess gained by these realms will increase as Master's base strength grows. The way of the sword was like a Heaven tier battle skill. If it was given to an Earth Saint Master, they would be able to display the strength of a Heaven Saint Master, and if a 6th cycle Earth Saint Master cast it, they would even be able to heavily injure Heaven Saint Masters. At the same time, if the same Heaven tier battle skill was used by a Heaven Saint Master, the strength would be even greater. Once one of the 5 major realms was reached, battle prowess and offensive capabilities that would be increased, not the person's base strength. At the same time, this boosted battle prowess would increase with the growth of base strength. Jian Chen currently possessed the battle prowess of a 7th heavenly layer Saint King, but this was brought upon by the Emperor armament. Without it, he would only be as powerful as a Saint King of the 3rd heavenly layer. That was Jian Chen's base strength. Although his comprehension of the mysteries of the world was far below that, the energy within him had reached the 3rd heavenly layer, which he could also use as he willed. Jian Chen immediately became filled with excitement because of what the sword spirit said. He no longer resented them for obstructing his attempt to reach Saint King. Instead it was replaced by a powerful desire to learn the way of the sword. Master, do you still remember when you fought with Czar Kaiyun outside the City of God? You entered a wondrous state during that fight, unintentionally dealing an attack that exceeded your current strength. That was actually the way of the sword, but only the edge of the 1st realm. It's just a pity that you don't have your fated swords, or Master would have reached the 1st realm long ago. Ziying's voice was filled with pity. Jian Chen immediately thought back to when he fought Czar Kaiyun and reached an understanding. He murmured, so I had touched the edge of the way of the sword back then. Now I know that that was actually the way of the sword. Jian Chen looked forward to the way of the sword even more now. He felt like this was the cultivation pathway that suited him. Master, if you want to embark on the way of the sword, you need to obtain your fated swords. Only after successfully forging the azulate swords can you comprehend that pathway and reach sword origin, said Qing Suo. He also displayed much anticipation. Ever since the sword spirits took Jian Chen as their master and brought his soul to the Tian Yuan continent, Jian Chen's future cultivation pathway was destined to be the way of the sword. It was just that he had never possessed his fated swords, delaying the time when he would step on the way of the sword. This was why Jian Chen was forced into a cultivation pathway that belonged to this world, so that he could survive. The sword spirits had also been waiting for the day when the azulate swords would be forged after all these years. Only by forging the azulate swords would Jian Chen gain his fated swords, allowing him to truly begin his journey on the way of the sword. The azulate swords, the azulate swords. It's the azulate swords again. Jian Chen became troubled. The materials for the swords were just too difficult to find. Every single one could only be found through luck, so he could not obtain them just because he needed them. Jian Chen gently sighed. He would never give up no matter how hard it would be to find the materials. Not only was this because of the two supreme swords he had longed for, it was also so that he could successfully comprehend the way of the sword and enter the first major realm, sword origin. Ziying, Qingsuo, just how many materials do I lack before I can forge the azulate swords? Jian Chen asked. There's still 4 more. We already have some leads for one of them, which is the Heaven's Soulstone Master came across when you faced the assassination of Yamahal. Although we've already obtained a little from that assassin, it's nowhere near enough, said Ziying. The Heaven's Soulstone and the Yamahal, Jian Chen softly murmured as a gleam of cold light flashed through his eyes. There was no longer any point for Jian Chen to stick around now that his breakthrough had been obstructed and that he could not reach Saint King. After checking on Bai Hai and the others, he roused Huang Luan from her cultivation and bid farewell with Xiao Ling, before leaving with Huang Luan. Although he wanted to leave Huang Luan there so she could continue her comprehension, the seal in Huang Luan's head had not been erased yet. As a result, he wanted to take Huang Luan to the Protector clan and find a method to remove the secret technique. He could bring Huang Luan to the city at any time in the future and have Xiao Ling assist her in comprehending the mysteries of the world. Xiao Ling unwillingly bid farewell to Jian Chen, before sending Jian Chen and Huang Luan to the surface of the earth. When the two of them appeared, the disturbance from the rainbow clouds still lingered about, so they could hear discussions regarding the clouds everywhere. Jian Chen, why are there so many people talking about 7-colored rainbow clouds and someone reaching Saint King? Are they talking about you? Have you reached Saint King now? Huang Luan stared fixedly at Jian Chen with her large eyes as she asked in surprise. Affection filled her eyes as she looked at him. Right now, Jian Chen's head was filled with matters regarding the way of the sword and the azulate swords, so he had stopped caring about his failure to reach Saint King long ago. He could not help but smile after hearing what Huang Luan had said. He replied completely unperturbed, they seem to be talking about me. I did indeed fail my breakthrough, so my comprehension is still at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Chapter 1080, Visiting the Protector Clan. Jian Chen, the failure isn't important. Your talent is supreme, so you'll reach Saint King sooner or later, Huang Luan comforted. Her face was filled with concern. She seemed worried that Jian Chen's failure would affect his state of mind. Jian Chen smiled wryly inside when he heard her concern. Once he began his journey of the way of the sword spirits would forcefully purge his comprehension of the mysteries of the world. He would also lose all his abilities as a saint ruler. Right now, breaking through to Saint King was no longer important. Afterward, Jian Chen and Huang Luan visited the Grand Elder Tian Jian as well as Tai Ta, who always stayed there. They talked for a little before leaving Mercenary City. Jian Chen and Huang Luan returned to the Changyang clan in Lore City through a space gate created by Rui Jin. It had been 3 whole years since Jian Chen had last visited the Changyang clan. During that period of time, nothing really changed about the clan, other than Jian Chen's second brother, Changyang Ku. After seeking Jian Chen's assistance that night, Jian Chen had ordered an exclusive alchemist of Flame City to refine a 10,000-year heavenly resource into a pill and deliver it to the Changyang clan when he last visited Flame City. After ingesting the pill, Changyang Ku immediately underwent an overwhelming change. His ordinary talent was completely raised to the level of a genius. Not only did his strength increase, his rate of cultivation also became extremely fast. He had become a Earth Saint Master now, and he was at the third cycle. At night, Jian Chen and Huang Luan arrived in the fragrant garden behind the clan. Huang Luan had changed into a luxurious, snow-white dress in an attempt to dress like the young lady of a large clan. Any heroic spirits present on her had completely disappeared. She seemed more like a loving, considerate, and well-educated wife. Huang Luan gently hugged Jian Chen's arm. She leaned her head on Jian Chen's shoulder as they slowly strolled through the garden. Her face was filled with happiness. Jian Chen, I want to go the sea realm to cultivate after some time. The water-attributed energy there is extremely dense, so it's very suitable for my water spirit's body. I believe that if I cultivate there, the rate at which my strength will increase will not be slower than in Mercenary City. Huang Luan looked at Jian Chen tenderly as she spoke. Her voice was gentle and pleasant. Jian Chen obviously did not turn down Huang Luan's suggestion. The water spirit's body was different from ordinary constitutions. The effects of cultivating in a place with rich water-attributed energy would indeed be impressive, allowing someone with that constitution to comprehend the mysteries of the world in greater detail. Luaner, once I find a way to remove the seal in your head, I'll take you to the sea realm. As for your cultivation method, I have indeed found the first version of the scripture of the aquatic sunflower in the space ring of the Huanggu clan ancestor. However, it's only an elementary saint-tier cultivation method. Let me see if I can obtain a better saint-tier cultivation method more suited for you from the sea goddess after I return to the sea realm. I think she knows quite a few as one of the 4 supreme experts from ancient times, Jian Chen caringly said. Huang Luan had already become his woman both in name and in reality, so he needed to put all his effort into forging her future. Huang Luan nodded obediently and sweetly smiled. She felt extremely moved with how much care Jian Chen was showing. At the same time, she felt extremely satisfied. Jian Chen's eyes suddenly froze at this moment. A delicate person in luxurious robes currently sat in a pavilion up ahead. Second aunt, Jian Chen whispered inside. Although all he could see was her back, he could tell with a single glance that she was his second aunt who had loved him like his own son since he was young. Jian Chen and Huang Luan hurried to the pavilion. Arriving before her, Jian Chen asked, "Aunt, it's already so late, why are you sitting here all by yourself?" Yu Fengyang sat in an utter daze. She seemed to have failed to notice Jian Chen at all, so the sudden voice immediately caused her to jump in fright. She looked back instinctively, and when she discovered Jian Chen, a forced smile appeared on her sorrow-ridden face. She said gently, "It's Xiangtian." Yu Fengyan seemed much more haggard than before, much different than the way she looked several years ago. Her gaze was filled with deep reminiscence. Jian Chen felt rather horrible when he saw how Yu Fengyang had become. His second aunt had loved him very dearly when he was young. Although he was not her child, she treated him like her own, which was why she had taken up an extremely important position in Jian Chen's heart long ago. "Aunt, are you all right? Have you begun thinking about sister again?" Jian Chen asked in concern. He had learned about what had happened to his eldest brother and sister long ago. The accumulated longing and pain within Yu Fengyang gushed out uncontrollably when she heard Jian Chen mention Changyang Mingyue. She began to sob painfully as tears poured from her eyes like a fountain. She cried from her loneliness. Jian Chen's face darkened when he saw how painfully Yu Fengyan cried. He cared very much for his aunt, so he felt rather horrible seeing her like this. "I have no idea how Mingyue is right now. I haven't seen her in over a decade. Mingyue, I know you've become the holy maiden of the ice god Hall now. When will you return to see your mother?" It's been over a decade since I last saw you. I miss you so dearly, sobbed Yu Fengyan as her tears mixed with her voice. Jian Chen watched his weeping aunt with mixed emotions. After a moment of silence, he sighed inside and then proceeded to comfort her. Aunt, don't be like this. I haven't seen sister in over 10 years as well, so I also miss her very much. Once I finish with my matters in a few days, I'll take you to the Arctic to go find sister. Yu Fengyang's face froze when she heard that. What Jian Chen had said was like a glimmer of hope in the dark to Yu Fengyang. Her gaze, which was filled with sorrow and reminiscence, stirred. She grabbed Jian Chen's hand in a trembling manner and emotionally said, "Is that true? Xiangtian, are you really willing to bring me to Mingyue?" The Arctic did not belong to the Tianyuan continent. It was just like the Three-Saint Island the heavenly enchantress inhabited. It was located across the sea, beyond the continent. The continent and the Arctic were separated by water, and it was much further away compared to Three-Saint Island. Although Yu Fengyan was a madam of the Changyang clan patriarch, she possessed no real power in the world despite her status in the clan. Coupled with the fact that the Arctic was so far away, it was almost impossible for her to go looking for Changyang Mingyue. The distance was so great that even Heaven Saint Masters could not venture to the Arctic. Only Saint Rulers possessed the ability, and even they would find it costly to take this very long journey. Yu Fengyang's status in the clan was not at the level where she could ask a Saint Ruler to accompany her to the Arctic. "Aunt, don't worry. Once I deal with everything, I will definitely go to the Arctic Ice God Hall," swore Jian Chen. He actually missed his sister very dearly as well. Other than Bai Yuntian, his sister treated Jian Chen the best during his childhood, even far better than his own father, Changyang Ba. Jian Chen and Huang Luan accompanied Yu Fengyan back to her room after comforting her, before separating to their own rooms. The morning of the next day, Jian Chen went to visit Kendall's wife and son. Their inn in Lore City was extremely famous, everyone in the city knew about it. Its name had even spread throughout the entire kingdom. The inn was the safest inn in Lore City, possibly even in the entire kingdom. Fights and arguments would rarely occur there, and if there were people who dared to start a fight, a large group of mysterious experts would charge in from outside and throw them out without exception, sometimes even taking their lives. The inn was always protected by a group of mysteries experts. The identities of these people had already become a known secret in Lore City. Many people knew that they were members of the Changyang clan. Over time, it led to extremely few conflicts in the inn. Some fleeing mercenaries had even treated the inn as a safe haven. Jian Chen had already repaired San Saint weapon that had been destroyed by the people of the Yangji sect, allowing him to cultivate once more. He was no longer a cripple, and his talent was also improved by Jian Chen through heavenly resources. As a result, his cultivation speed was extraordinary. Jian Chen paid extra concern to the mother and son, almost to the point where he would care for the most trivial details. This was all so he could return Kendall's kindness. He had repaid Kendall's kindness countless times over to Sans and his mother. Bidding farewell to them, Jian Chen returned to the Changyang clan. Afterward, he left the city with Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, Changyang Zhu Yeyun, Changyang Zhu Yunkong, and Huang Luan. They planned to visit the Changyang Protector clan in order to remove the seal in Changyang Zhu Yunkong's head, as well as to resolve the secret technique embedded in Huang Luan. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao constructed a space gate with his abilities as a Saint King. After passing through it, Jian Chen and Huang Luan discovered they had arrived in the sky above an unknown, ancient mountain range. Chapter 1081, The Bell of Grand Clarity chimes 9 times. Jian Chen and Huang Luan stood together 1,000 meters in the air as they observed their surroundings. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, Changyang Zhu Yeyun, and Changyang Zhu Yunking stood beside them. They varied in expression. The couple were extremely excited while Changyang Zhu Yunkong was extremely dejected. He felt heavy-hearted. Jian Chen, this is the main entrance to the Changyang Protector clan. It's located on the eastern part of the continent, and Mercenary City is over 5 million kilometers away. The Protector clans possess the lengthiest histories on the continent, having surpassed 1,000,000 years in age. They are much more ancient than Mercenary City. We had already become the 10 greatest clans before Mercenary City had even been built on the continent, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao explained to Jian Chen. Although this was not Jian Chen's first time hearing about the Protector clan's lengthy histories, he still felt astounded by how long they had existed. Jian Chen, the 10 Protector clans of the continent all exist in other independent spaces. This space is described as a world by us, so it is a smaller world, no different than the Tianyuan continent, except for the fact that the energy of the world is much more abundant than the Tianyuan continent. As he said that, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao gently raised his right arm. A vast amount of energy shot out, before silently disappearing 100 meters away. The space there immediately began to ripple and a 100-meter-tall gate suddenly appeared. A whole different landscape appeared on the other side of the gate. There were beautiful mountains and rivers, as well as various birds soaring through the sky and small beasts scurrying on the ground. It was a world virtually the same as the Tianyuan continent. Jian Chen, this is the largest gateway into our Changyang clan. It is called the World Gate, and it is rarely ever opened. However, whenever it is opened, it is because of a large-scale mobilization of the experts in the clan or because someone of great status has come. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stared deeply at Jian Chen, wanting Jian Chen to understand just how the Changyang clan felt in regards to him. Jian Chen examined the World Gate, but he failed to find anything special about it after looking around. He also lost interest as a result. He said, "Great-grandfather, great-grandmother, let's go in. Go in with my father and mother, Jian Chen. I'll be waiting outside," Changyang Zhu Yunkong said with a dark expression. "Why can't you come in with us, great-grandfather?" Jian Chen looked at Changyang Zhu Yunkong in confusion. His main reason for visiting the clan this time around was to help Changyang Zhu Yunkong remove the seal in his head. Changyang Zhu Yunkong gently sighed and said nothing. He was in a horrible mood. "Jian Chen, it's true that Yunkong can't go in. As soon as he enters the clan, the Emperor armament will lose control and lead to an utter disaster," sighed Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. Jian Chen stopped talking after hearing that. Holding Huang Luan's hand, he entered the clan with the old couple. The giant world gate also vanished once they passed through it. The independent space of the Changyang clan is divided into the outer clan and inner clan. Jian Chen, I originally planned to take you directly to the inner clan, but since it's your first time coming to the Protector clan, I'll take you through the outer clan and help you understand the exact layout of the Protector clan. We're currently in the outer clan. This is where all the ordinary clansmen live. They are at the bottom of the hierarchy, and there are many of them, at least several million. They all live in this city built by this mountain. In the clan space, there are many mountain ranges and thus countless magical beasts. Many clansmen will move in groups, and once they step out of the city, they can be slain by these magical beasts at any time. A portion of the people who live in the outer clan have been weeded out from the inner clan due to their poor talent, while the other group were born there. They will all grow and cultivate in the outer clan. People of the outer clan are only able to enter the inner clan if they become a Heaven Saint Master or exhibit great talent, where the cultivation environment is much better. As a result, there are very few Heaven Saint Masters present in the outer clan since they have all been gathered by the inner clan. The members of the outer clan are no different than mercenaries on the continent. They hunt magical beasts for their monster cores so that they can cultivate and feed off their flesh. They will struggle all year round on the road to Heaven Saint Master, so quite a few outer clan members fall to the mouths of magical beasts every year. Jian Chen listened to Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's explanation as he flew toward the depths of the clan. As he passed over various mountain ranges, he would find a few members of the outer clan in intense battles with magical beasts. He could not help but think back when he was no different, trying to increase his strength. He killed magical beasts for their monster cores and ate them for food, paving a path out of magical beast corpses. He would live in forests filled with danger. Only those who had experienced this themselves could truly understand the difficulties. Jian Chen also saw the city mentioned by Changyang Zhu Yunxiao as he traveled. It was not an extraordinarily big city. It was covered in the marks of time, having stood for countless years. However, it continued to stand strong, and it was encased by a powerful barrier to protect the people living in it. Jian Chen passed through the outer clan very soon and arrived at the inner clan. The abundance of the energy of the world in the outer clan could only be compared to some blessed lands on the Tianyuan continent, while it was several times more abundant in the inner clan. The rate of cultivation in the inner clan is equivalent to using monster cores. The energy of the world here is extremely abundant, making it several times easier to cultivate. Jian Chen sighed inside when he sensed the abundance of energy in the inner clan. A vast disparity existed between the inner and outer clan. At this moment, Jian Chen suddenly narrowed his eyes. Some disbelief filled his face. He saw a piece of land floating in the sky. The land was huge, several dozen kilometers across. It was as large as a king's city. People could be seen moving about everywhere among the structures constructed on the piece of land. Jian Chen could even feel a few vast presences radiating carelessly from some closed buildings, and the number was astounding. The most eye-catching part was the very center of the piece of land. A palace, several hundred meters tall, stood there quietly like a slumbering primordial beast, radiating with an invisible pressure that would shock anyone. It seemed like the ruler of the piece of land. This floating piece of land is the center of our Changyang clan. It is where all our experts gather, and the divine hall in the center is where all the great elders cultivate. Other clansmen with superb talent are also allowed in, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao explained from beside Jian Chen. Dong! Suddenly, a great chime rang out. The sound spread everywhere and so did its echo, ringing magnificently through the entire space in which the clan inhabited. The moment the chime rang out, everyone on the floating piece of land stopped. They all stared at the sky in surprise. Dong! Dong! The chimes rang out 3 times consecutively, and when the third one rang out, many doors of the closed buildings suddenly opened. Various cultivators who lived in them emerged. This is the chime of the bell of grand clarity. It was made to welcome valued guests, and it hasn't rung for 100 years. I wonder which valued guest has come to visit our clan. It must be a great elder of some other protector clan. The bell has chimed 3 times. The person must be someone who can raise storms. Quite a few discussions broke out among the people who emerged. The chiming did not stop. More, humongous sound waves swept through the space, reaching every corner of the clan. Very soon, it had chimed 6 times in total. A portion of the other buildings suddenly opened after the 6th chime. Saint rulers emerged as vast amounts of energy coiled around them. They stared at the sky in surprise, and one of them softly murmured, "It's been a whole century since the bell of grand clarity has rung. I remember last time, it was due to a visit from a great elder of the Tyrant's Blade School, and it only rang 3 times, yet the bell has rung 6 whole times now. Is the guest the Grand Elder of Mercenary City? Probably only the Grand Elder of Mercenary City could make the bell ring 6 times nowadays. Has he really come to visit our clan?" A sagely old man said in surprise and suspicion as his beard gently floated. Dong! This time, the bell chimed once more, summing to a total of 7 chimes. The entire clan fell into an uproar immediately after the 7th chime. At that moment, everyone who lived on the floating piece of land emerged from their residences. Even the people who had entered life or death seclusion forcefully came out, staring at the sky in shock. Dong! The giant divine hall that silently stood at the center of the land originally only had two small doors open on its sides, yet with the eighth chime, its main entrance slowly opened up with a great rumble and a simple but desolate presence began to radiate from the door. It seemed like it had not opened for a very long time. Afterward, 6 people of various ages stepped through the door. They all stared into the distance with a smile, before moving together. They took to the sky, going up to personally receive the guest. The 6 of them were all great elders of the clan. Dong! With the 9th chime, a large number of people had appeared on the floating piece of earth. All of them were in shock. The 9th chime of the bell of great clarity was only present in the records of the clan. It had not appeared for several tens of thousand years already, because it usually would only ring 9 times to welcome saint emperors. Chapter 1082, Making Trouble. After the 9th chime, Jian Chen had arrived near the floating piece of earth with Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. The 6 great elders of the Changyang clan stood in a row before them, smiling as they personally welcomed Jian Chen. In order to welcome Jian Chen, the Changyang clan had shown their sincerity. Not only did they chime the bell of grand clarity 9 times, even all the great elders of the clan had been mobilized. Only saint emperors could enjoy something like this. Ha ha ha, our most outstanding genius in all of history has finally returned. Changyang Xiangtian, I, Changyang Qingyun, welcome you on behalf of all the clansmen. A merry but sagely old man chuckled at Jian Chen among the 6. He was extremely joyful. Changyang Qingyun was the most senior member of the Qing branch, as well as the most powerful person in the entire clan. He was the only one who had reached the great perfection of Saint King in the clan, having been stuck at the bottleneck of Saint Emperor for many years now. Jian Chen, allow me to introduce the other great elders. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stepped forward and introduced the remaining 5 people to Jian Chen. Jian Chen finally gained some understanding regarding the identities of the great elders with each introduction. Of the 7 great elders, there were 2 great elders from Zhu branch as well as the Yuan branch, while the Qing branch was the most powerful. They had 3 great elders. The great elders of the Zhu branch were the 2 people Jian Chen was already familiar with, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and Changyang Zhu Xiao. The 2 great elders from the Yuan branch were called Changyang Yuan Wuji and Changyang Yuan Zhenghua. Other than Changyang Qingyun, Jian Chen had met the other 2 great elders of the Qing branch as well. One of them was Changyang Qing Juri, who had come to Lore City to obtain the Bright Moon Divine Hall, while the final person was the same great elder who had been trapped in the Bright Moon Divine Hall a few years ago. He was Changyang Qing Yunfeng. After Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's introduction, Changyang Qing Juri said, Yunxiao, you should call him Changyang Xiangtian. After all, that's a more suitable name. Let's discard the name Jian Chen. From today onwards, there is only Changyang Xiangtian on the continent and no Jian Chen. Changyang Qing Juri's gaze towards Jian Chen hid an unperceivable coldness. Ha ha ha, Juri, you've put it well. Since Changyang Xiangtian has returned to the clan, we obviously should refer to him with his surname. Let's discard the name of Jian Chen today, Changyang Qing Yun agreed with a smile. Changyang Qing Feng Yun and the 2 great elders of the Yuan branch all nodded in agreement as well, approving of the suggestion very much. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao remained silent and did not comment, while Changyang Zhu Yunxiao furrowed his brows. A slightly troubled expression filled his face as he turned to Jian Chen, great-grandson, how do you feel about that? It was very rare for Changyang Zhu Yunxiao to refer to Jian Chen like that, but he placed some stress on great-grandson this time. He seemed to be showing off to the great elders of the other 2 branches, that the unprecedented genius who had been received by the 9 chimes of the bell was his own great-grandson. Jian Chen's face remained the same, and he replied without an extra thought. No, Jian Chen is my name. I will not be changing my name. I do not oppose the name of Changyang Xiangtian, but it is only a second name. Jian Chen answered unswervingly, leaving no room for discussion. His name was not something that could be changed just because they had said so. After all, the name came from the memories of his past life. The amicable smile on the great elders' faces quickly vanished. They furrowed their brows slightly and seemed to be displeased. However, Changyang Zhu Xiao stepped forward. The name is just a way of reference, so there's no need to pay so much heed to it. Plus, the name Jian Chen has been used by my great-grandson for a very long time, and it's already renowned throughout the continent. How can it be changed so easily? The great elders of the other two branches no longer dwelled on the matter with Changyang Zhu Xiao's mediation. They all showed their consent with their silence. Jian Chen was their junior, but the strength he possessed was something that even protector clans dared not to look down upon. Even when ignoring his strength and shocking talent, just the winged tiger god was enough for them to treat him carefully. Not to mention, Jian Chen had the support of Rui Jin and He Yu, two supreme experts who could rival saint emperors. Great elders, since I have already come to the clan as promised, may I ask if the seal in great-grandfather Yunkong's head can be removed? Jian Chen said. There's no hurry at all. Xiangtian, since you've returned to the clan, there needs to be a welcoming ceremony. We'll remove the seal after we hold this ceremony, said Changyang Qing Juri. In my opinion, I think we should first remove the seal in my great-grandfather's head before holding this ceremony. It's not like it'll take a lot of time. Jian Chen held strong, putting Changyang Zhu Yunkong as the priority. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and Changyang Zhu Xiao both gently smiled when they heard that. Meanwhile, the 5 other great elders all became stunned. They had all become rather unhappy with Jian Chen's demanding tone time and time again. Although Jian Chen's talent was great and his strength could not be underestimated, he was still their junior after all. As great elders of a protector clan, they had never been ordered around by a junior like this. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao gazed past the other great elders and a sliver of anger flickered through his eyes. He clearly said, the 7 of us made an agreement before. If Yunkong brought Xiangtian back to the clan, the 7 of us would remove the seal from Yunkong's head. Now that Xiangtian has returned, it's about time for us to follow through with what we said. Great elders, let's go remove the seal in Konger first, or wouldn't we be eating our words? The 2 great elders of the Yuan branch found what Changyang Zhu Yunxiao said to be reasonable. As a result, one of them agreed, all right, let's go remove the seal in Yunkong's head first. The 3 great elders of the Qing branch could only follow along since the Yuan branch had agreed. The 7 great elders all left the independent space soon after that, going to the outside world to remove the seal in Changyang Zhu Yunkong's head. Only Changyang Zhu Yeyun was left to guide Jian Chen. Jian Chen, Huang Wuan, come with me. I'll go introduce you to a few important figures of the clan, smiled Changyang Zhu Yeyun, before descending with the 2 of them. They landed on the floating piece of earth below. As soon as Jian Chen touched the ground, he was surrounded by a large group of people from all directions. Soon, they were surrounded by crowds of people as all of them curiously observed the unfamiliar Jian Chen and Huang Wuan. They were suspicious. I only recognize great-grandmother Yeyun among the 3 of them. Who are the other 2? Are the male and female standing beside Yeyun the people who were welcomed with the 9 chimes? Even the reputed Grand Elder of the mercenary city has only received 6 chimes to welcome him, yet these 2 unfamiliar people are worthy of 9 chimes. Are they both saint emperors? I haven't left the clan in a very long time, but I do know a little about the outside. It's said that the Tian Yuan continent currently has the Path Lord of Carnal Desires as its only saint emperor. Is this young man him, the Path Lord of Carnal Desires? Impossible, he's definitely not the Path Lord of Carnal Desires. When the Beast God continent invaded our continent on a large scale before, I personally saw the Path Lord. That young man definitely isn't him. If he's not the Path Lord, then who is he? The surroundings buzzed with discussions as many people guessed at Jian Chen's identity. "Changyang Xiangtian, it's actually you." Suddenly, a high-pitched scream rang out from the crowd. An elegant, middle-aged woman threateningly walked over with two ladies who possessed sculpture's K features and seemed to be in their 20s. Jian Chen turned to the source of the sound and recognized the three women with a single glance. They were the people who had gone with Changyang Qing Jury to Lore City in attempt to obtain the Bright Moon Divine Hall. The three women paid no attention to everyone's surprised gazes. They walked up to Jian Chen. She put her hands on her hips as she said in a snobbish manner, "And who did I think it was? So it's the junior, Changyang Xiangtian, who has no regard for his seniors. Changyang Xiangtian, I never thought that you would be so rude and enter our protector clan in such an arrogant fashion. You sure have surprised me." Changyang Zhu Yayan's face immediately sank when she heard that. She became furious, while even Jian Chen's face sank as well. Huang Luan furrowed her brows and frowned. She also seemed unhappy. "Lengshuang, do you recognize this brother? Who is he?" From behind, a hunchbacked old man asked with a husky voice. The middle-aged woman treated the old man with a lot of respect. Her expression immediately changed and she mildly said, "Uncle Fangyu, you've been in seclusion for many years so you definitely won't know about Changyang Xiangtian. Changyang Xiangtian's the offspring of Changyang Zhu Yunkong who was exiled from the clan due to his wrongdoings. At such a young age, he completely disregards his elders just because he has some strength. He's arrogant, unlike the descendant of a powerful clan at all. Last time, when I went with Great Elder Jury, who personally went to the Tianyuan continent to visit him, this arrogant Changyang Xiangtian actually recklessly dismissed Great Elder Jury. How dare he? Yeah, Changyang Xiangtian has gone overboard. Doesn't he even think about who he is? Isn't he just a junior from someone that has been exiled from the clan? A mighty great elder of a protector clan would lower himself and travel great distances just to visit him in the tiny Lore City. Sure, Changyang Xiangtian has no idea about what is good for himself, but he actually behaved so disrespectfully, dismissing Great Elder Jury who is admired by everyone. He cannot be forgiven." One of the younger women spoke righteously as she pointed at Jian Chen. "You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."